hello, everyone. I guess Dan kind of went a little crazy there, but hello, everybody. Welcome to DCU Daily. He got a little frozen. That's all right. But here we are. We are here to start the week off right. We're here to start the week off properly with another DCU Daily. Of course, the first thing we have to get into is box office stuff. We have tons of box office stuff to talk about in regards to Project Hail Mary, as well as the upcoming Super Mario Galaxy movie. So that's a lot of fun. Then, of course, we have to glaze Project Hail Mary. Speaking of, we have to glaze that wonderfully and do all the things, because we can't give this movie enough credit. We gotta keep going. We gotta keep glazing. So, you know, that's okay. That's okay. But then we have MCU Weekly. We talk a little bit about Daredevil, a little bit about Doomsday, and a little bit about Andrew Garfield. Apparently, he keeps getting asked MCU questions, so he's got to talk about that. Then to TV Talk Terror, we got some Harry Potter stuff. We have some Star Trek stuff. Andy Weir said some interesting comments in regards to the management of Star Trek right now, and we'll see what he had to say. Then we have a little bit of Tomb Raider stuff. Then, of course, we have our glorious quick hits. Glorious quick hits. Caleb's favorite part of the show, because of how quick they truly are. That was all sarcasm, if you didn't know. Anyway, but then, of course, we get into DCU Daily, starting off with DC quick hits. And then we have a big announcement today in regards to Supergirl. Apparently, we're getting another trailer tomorrow. Very, or pre-CinemaCon, pre-everything. So that's definitely interesting. So we'll be talking about that. We got a little bit of a first look in regards to that. And then a little bit about the test screenings. A little bit of awkwardness there. So we'll be talking about that as well. But of course, all of that and more after this wonderful news intro that tells us we are indeed Knuff.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Hello, welcome back. Here we are to talk about the news. I'm your host, John. Lovely to see you all. We also have Dan, who is back in black. Here he is. A little bit of a blip there, Dan, but that's okay. Internet is a cruel mistress. Internet signal is a cruel mistress. But outside of that, how are you doing on this wonderful Monday?
Yeah, I was hoping you guys wouldn't notice that I had like that immediate crash out. But no, I'm
like literally when the show started, it was just like boom, frozen.
Gone.
And I was like, oh shit, okay, all right, let me take this. Let me take the reins here. Don't worry, you can
Perfect
introduce
timing.
DCU Daily. We'll make it nice and easy. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, no, it's been a low-key weekend for me, because not low-key, but like, low-key weekend for me, because I was trying to catch up on some sleep, wasn't feeling the best, like health-wise. Got like a weird thing going on with my elbow, trying to figure out. But yeah, no, it's a Monday. We got people in the chat, enterprising. I'm so excited. Can't hide it. Saw Hopper's Project Hail Mary back to back. That is amazing, man. That's a great back to back, actually. Honka Honka Caleb, D Cole first in the chat today. You know what? We'll be talking plenty about Supergirl, and then the quick kits. Okay, we'll get to those. Hello, Terrence. How are you doing? And we got Justin Giga. Momo is finally fulfilling his dream as Lobo. Yes, thank you for the super chat. It is showtime indeed, and we will bring it on. So, John, we have a lot to dive into, as we do every Monday. So let's just start off like we usually do with the box office. So Project Hail Mary rockets, according to The Hollywood Reporter, to $164 million in the US and $300 million has actually crossed that threshold worldwide. It's already become the highest grossing movie of the year. It's actually ahead of Hoppers, speaking of enterprising, because Hoppers also just hit the $300 million mark, but obviously it's been out for a couple of weeks longer. Project Hail Mary now going past that mark also in a 10-day period. Its second weekend hold is also pretty epic. It's actually had a better second weekend hold than Oppenheimer did in terms of how much the percentage it was down from its first box office weekend. It did better than Oppenheimer. It did better than Dune Part 2. If you go to the next slide for a moment, John, the number percentage, I think the final number that came in, it's 54.6 million. I think it was if they were looking at 55 million at the early part of the weekend. Hello Movie Spud. And basically that's a 32% drop from its opening weekend,
which is
we talked
really
about.
Fucking good. When it's in the 30s, especially the early 30s, that's really fucking good.
Because you're talking big blockbuster, and what qualifies as a big blockbuster is anything that opens to like 75, 80 million or over, which Project Hail Mary did. It opened to over 80 million. It's only the second movie in the last decade, other than Oppenheimer, that's a non-sequel, non-IP franchise spin-off open that high. For now. But I don't think it will change, because if there is a sequel, then the sequel is the sequel. The original still is the original. But anyway, the point is, Project Hail Mary has to only drop by like 32% is pretty epic. Like you said, John, it's rare that you see a movie of this scale hold that well from first to second weekend. Obviously there's some exceptions to the rule, but even like, the biggest Avengers movies usually have a pretty like 50% drop, which is to be expected. Those movies tend to be front loaded. It makes Project Hail Mary Amazon MGM's biggest movie ever, biggest Hollywood release in theaters, and it is well deserved. I agree. Hello MTG. Yes, you are here just in time for the glaze. You'll be glazing all kinds of Project Hail Mary donuts today. But looking like Mr. Fantastic. Yeah, I decided not to try with my hair. This is like, I just kind of ran my hand through it and then let it dry out because I was doing other things. But it does deserve the glaze. Just some geeky guy. I mean, John, your reaction to this? Because
great,
Hoppers
perfect,
getting close to 300. Project Hail Mary already ahead of it.
Both original movies that are, looking good.
It looks like a lot of you guys went and saw it, even if you didn't see it last week. You definitely saw it by now. So we'll be talking about it plenty. It deserves all the love that it's getting. I'm still trying to go see it a third time. I might go see it a third and a fourth time. I actually haven't seen it in IMAX.
It's funny because there's one person in our friend group that has not seen it. Meanwhile, he's seen like Scream 7 like 6 times and saw Zootopia 2 like 5 times. It's like, bro, fucking go see Project Hail Mary. Like, Jesus Christ. Come on now. Come on.
I'm questioning your friend's choices, Sean. But you know what? It's fine.
He thinks Halloween Ends is a good movie, so he doesn't know much about anything.
Rocket power. Okay.
Love the man, but his tastes are definitely interesting.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of other movies, what was the Day Will Kill You? I think made with like less than 5 million, completely like dead on arrival, pretty much, which is a Warner Brothers.
I mean, when you set it up against Project Hail Mary, of course, and then what is it going to be like? Oh, from the director of The Flash and and from the star of one of the many people in Joker Folie à Deux comes discount horror John Wick. Okay.
Yeah. Well, enterprising, to your question, is it really true that they use no green screens in Hail Mary? It is true, because I've been seeing a lot more behind the scenes footage where like you get to see the true scale of the ship that they built. They didn't build the whole thing, but they built enough of it that pretty much everything you see within the ship, even the tunnel, like the Iridian tunnel connecting the two ships, that was all like done practically. Like they didn't use green screens, they had enclosed environments. They did say it doesn't mean they didn't use VFX. I'm sure they used some volumetric effects. We'll actually talk about some of the VFX as the show goes on. I mean, John, just some of you guys thinking now this movie is probably poised to make 600 million. I mean, there is the one Super Mario Galaxy shaped, obstacle in the way. Speaking of which, we'll talk
Yes.
about that next. Because I mean, the budget for this movie was like somewhere between 190 to 200 million. They greenlit a budget of 191 million, but you add on top of that the 6 to 9 million that was paid to get the rights to the book. So roughly all in, Amazon spent about 200 million, and then the marketing budget. So it's going to need to make at least 500 million plus to break even. But Amazon's executives recently said about, not about this movie in particular, but they were talking about a previous, I think it was about Crime 101. They were saying how they look at the theatrical release as overall just a marketing spend. So if they can break even on that or make some money back off on it, that's just like, making money back on the marketing for the movie. Because ultimately what they really care about is when this movie lands on streaming, and because they put it in theater, it gets the theatrical glaze, not their words, but I'm paraphrasing, because you do get the rub. Like, you get the rub. If you're a big theatrically, distributed movie, people look at it differently than a movie that goes straight to streaming. There's just like that stigma that still exists, rightfully so. And so for a movie like this, I mean, which is an original movie, again, based on a book, to make 600 million at the theaters, that would break even certainly with what Amazon walks away with at the end of the day in profits. But then everything from there in the Prime Video release window will be just gravy for them. And that's really where, so their business model is still based on that. That's just Amazon's mindset. I don't think every studio thinks of it that way. Hey, Swag fan, thank you for stopping by while you're at work. We hope you're not getting in trouble for this, but you can always come back and watch the rest of the show later. But thank you for tuning in nonetheless. Hit the like button. We do appreciate that. John, I don't think anybody expects Project Hail Mary to make $1 billion, even though we think it deserves it. And I hope it, maybe, miracles can happen. Maybe it can do so. But even if it makes 500 to 600 million, I think it would be doing very well for itself, considering, John, we have probably the first $1 billion blockbuster of the year coming out in a few days' time. So let's gonna talk about Super Mario Galaxy, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's shooting for the stars, as Deadline writes, eyeing the biggest global weekend opening year to date, basically for the year. Because obviously Project Hail Mary just had the biggest. This would blow that number out of the water, and it's looking at $350 million. John, if you scroll down, actually they have a breakdown for what that means for international versus North American markets. It's expected to make around 175 million over the course of 4 days. Remember, that comes out on Wednesday because it's the Easter holiday weekend, so they've got an extra day of play. So you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then Saturday, Sunday. So it's actually going to be 5 days in total. So they're looking at about $175 million over the 5 days domestically, and then you make up another $175 million in 79 markets minus Japan, mind you, which will be April 24th. They have to wait like almost another month for it in Japan.
Why would the originator
I don't get
of
it.
Mario wait that
I don't get it.
long?
I honestly don't get it. Maybe there's like something going on in like the Japanese market. There's reasons usually. I'm sure it's not like arbitrary, but you know what, Figure Drawing? Hello, and yes, we would love for it to make the Superman kind of money. I think Amazon will leave it in theaters for a while. But talking about Super Mario Galaxy, John, 175 domestic, 175 international, and when it does come out in Japan a month later, I bet you that's going to be another big boon to it. It will also be taking over all of the premium screens, including like IMAX and Dolby and everything else, STX, BTX, ScreenX, and all those things. So it's going to be everywhere. It's going to, Project Hail Mary has IMAX until Wednesday. Hello, Brogu. So your thoughts on this? Do you think this is an overestimate? Because like Project Hail Mary overperformed on opening weekend.
I think projections are usually an overestimate.
Yeah.
So I think it'll in terms of worldwide, I think it'll make maybe like 275 to 300. I'll play it safe. Like obviously it could get to the projected amount. It's just usually like, even for really good movies, even like for instance, I mean it was only 1% off, but they said that it was gonna, Project Hail Mary was gonna have a 31% drop when it was really 32%, which is infinitesimal. But even with that, it's usually lower. So I think at most it'll probably make like 325 if I'm being nice. But like, hey, I could not know what the fuck I'm talking about and be like, eat a dick, it's gonna make 500 million in opening weekend somehow. Which I don't think is possible. But you know, it's
Yeah.
I think it'll make a lot. I don't think it'll make the projection quite there. Like I think it'll make a very good amount of money, but I don't think it'll make 350 quite. But that's my prediction. That's John's theory time. Anyway.
Well, I'm gonna say that number is probably a bit of an it's an underestimate, estimating the true potential of this movie at the box office. Bro, we love the fact that you enjoyed the movie. We're gonna be glazing Project Hail Mary coming up soon, don't you worry. So the conversation will go back in that direction soon. But yeah, I mean, hey, Danny DeVito as Wario, Willem Dafoe as Waluigi would be amazing castings. I mean, Willem Dafoe in anything would be great. And Danny DeVito, I would love to see more Danny DeVito. Sean O'Rourke in the chat, hey Sean, saying 319 million worldwide. You're talking like opening weekend, I assume there. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna say 350 is easy. You know why? Because the movie comes out on Wednesday. Like, and this is a family movie. Like, you know, again, like family film. Anthony, you're exactly on point. It's a film made for family.
You don't turn your back on family.
Yes, exactly that, Fiona. So, yeah. I think 350, it might even go higher, 360 maybe, because it starts on Wednesday. It's the holiday weekend, Easter Monday, Easter Sunday. Like, you know, you've got a basically 6-day run here. Now, they will, when we talk about these numbers next week, they'll be talking about them in 2 columns. They'll be like, here's the 3-day number for, you know, your traditional Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You usually include the Thursday number in there as the previews. Then you have the 5-day number that will include Wednesday. So 350, I think that's perfectly reachable. The first movie was the second highest grossing of that year. It was like what, 1.3, 1.4, almost $1 billion. It only got outgrossed by Barbie that year. So, and this one has, you know, new characters. Yoshi's here. Like you got, and we'll talk about the post-credit scenes. We're not gonna give you any spoilers, but there are post-credit scenes. Apparently, there'll be 2 post-credit scenes in the movie, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And you know, they just had the premiere for this in Japan, actually, didn't they? Like, I think it was all the Nintendo folks were there. Shigeru Miyamoto, sorry. He was there. And John, can you walk us through what he was talking about? Because this was kind of interesting.
But, you know, he was like, hey, point out all the Easter eggs because it's, you know, been 40 years since, you know, Super Mario came out. And there's a multitude of characters from the history of the series will appear one after another. Try to count them if you can, which is a nice little thing, which I know a lot of people are kind of like shaky about because with the whole thing with Fox McCloud, they're like, you know, this looks nostalgia baity. This looks like the BVS of video game adaptations. This isn't great, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, well, let's wait it out. Maybe it is nostalgia slop. We'll see. Maybe this will be the proto Avengers Doomsday where it's just going to be nostalgia bait and not an actual story. So we will just have to wait and see. I'm still excited for it. I loved the first one. I thought it was phenomenal. I had so much fun with that. Again, like kind of the feeling of being a kid again, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with this, whether it's the greatest thing ever or not. But
yeah, I think we just kind of also figured out the reason why it's coming out when it is in Japan, because I think the release date in Japan is going to coincide more with the 40th anniversary of the Super Mario series. That's probably why it comes out like April 24th versus, you know, everywhere else almost a full month earlier. Yeah, and I mean, the voice cast for this is also super stacked. There's a cool Danny Glover story we'll talk about in the quick hits later about how he got himself involved in this franchise. He more or less just was like, I want to do it. Like, and they were like, do you?
I want to fight an alien.
Yeah, I want to fight an alien. He did his best Andrew Garfield impression. But yeah, I mean, look, this movie it brings all the audiences, like from people who grew up playing Mario to the folks, to the kids who play it today, and so they've got the four quadrant audience covered. Maybe not exactly Top Gun Maverick peak nostalgia, and because I'm not saying like I think it's gonna make probably more money than Top Gun Maverick did, but it's a different kind of nostalgia because like Top Gun Maverick I think had a different audience where like you'll have a lot more kids.
But
going to
both
watch
will have
this
Glenn
one.
Powell.
You know what? That's a great point. That is. Did we already talk about like the Star Fox?
Yeah,
spinoff?
Fox McCloud.
That
Yeah,
was,
we talked about that.
Yeah, that's
'Cause-
okay. So that's official now. Yeah.
But somebody actually did a video on that. They're like, God, because again, of like they shouldn't have announced it. They should have just waited for people because then it's like, oh my God, when he actually appears in the movie, when you see that, that would be amazing. Stop baiting us with stuff that you should leave in the movie, and it's just like, leave it in the movie, and we'll find out on our own. But oh well.
Well, I think getting ahead of the announcement because I think that is part of one of the post-credit scenes. I think they did the right thing because you want to build the excitement and the anticipation, so it's fine. But anyway, let's keep going. So, you guys let us know what you think about the box office predictions. 350 million is what they're looking at right now for for Super Mario Galaxy. 350 worldwide, 175 domestic in US and Canada, and then you got 175 pretty much everywhere else. Adds up to 350. Do you think it can do even better than that? Project Hail Mary, opening to a great number last week, only dropping 32% this week. So that will still be out there. I bet you there'll be a lot of people looking to do a double feature with Project Hail Mary and Super Mario Galaxy. Then you got Hopper still in theaters. You got a bunch of other counter programming smaller movies like what was it? They Will Kill You. Is that the one with Zazie Beetz? Yeah, that's still out there. If you happen to like Scream, you can still check that out. So Zootopia 2 did crush it. Mario 2 is going to break 1.5. Yeah, I agree with you, Sean. Animation has been saving the day for the last few years, like since the pandemic.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
So yeah. Hello Ron, also in Canada, Fiona, if you're wondering. We got a good Canadian contingent. We're only missing Tony right now. But yeah, Masters of the Universe is dropping its trailer tomorrow. We'll get into that later as well. And of course, tomorrow we'll be talking all about the trailer. Supergirl. Remember we talked about it last week, John? How Tuesdays tend to be the trailer day. Because like Supergirl, we now know, and Masters of the Universe, they're both dropping trailers tomorrow.
Tuesday? That's such a weird.
I haven't figured out the logic.
Maybe it gets people excited because like Monday, Tuesday is kind of the icky days of the week because you're just starting your work week. It's kind of lame. It's kind of boring. Plus Monday is kind of a shitty day. So I'm looking forward to a trailer of a movie I want to see tomorrow. So it makes Monday more exciting, and then it makes Tuesday more exciting, thus propelling you to hump day and then getting into this latter half of the week.
Yeah.
Maybe that's or it's just like, Tuesday, sure, why not?
I'm going to do some research on this, but I think it's probably to do with the fact that then those trailers will play ahead of the movies that release later in the week. Because I bet you Supergirl and Master of the Universe, both of those trailers will start playing with Super Mario Galaxy on Wednesday. Yeah, dude, the Master of the Universe is something that Liz is very excited about. I'm less so because I didn't grow up on the show, so it's definitely gonna be like a generational thing, like Gen X, for example. So yeah, I mean, Sean, we're all excited to see how well that does. I'm excited to see how well that does because Amazon MGM needs more of those hits for them. I think for them to kind of grow more confident in their release strategy and really become a true new Hollywood major studio that releases 15 movies a year consistently. Yeah, Trailer Tuesdays. That should be like, we can make that a new segment, Swag Fan. Actually, that's a great idea. I think we will. I might need to make that a graphic. I think that's a great idea.
I want to glaze, okay. Dan, we need
okay,
to,
let's glaze Project Hail Mary. We're gonna move past the box office talk. I have the power. Thank you for another super chat.
Who else has the power? Sandra Hüller to include the Harry Styles song "Sign of the Times" in Project Hail Mary,
which was her decision. She made she was like, I'll do it. She chose to do it. Apparently Ryan Gosling was the one who sort of suggested that we make that like scene happen, but I guess the original version of that scene did involve her singing, And so she said they asked me if I would sing in the scene, and I overcame my fear and tried to find a song overnight. Amy Pascal got the rights, and we shot it the next morning. So I guess if Ryan Gosling hadn't suggested the idea to Amy Pascal, and then Sandra Hüller hadn't been like committed to it, we wouldn't be talking about, you know, A Sign of the Times from Harry Styles. I can imagine that cost them a pretty penny, because like that's not Harry Styles, if in case you guys haven't noticed, is pretty popular these days. He's at the top of his game.
Yeah, when he's not spitting on people.
True. Yeah, you know, Sean, to your point about release windows, I think Amazon has been pretty consistent with their bigger movies, at least 45-day theatrical window, if not 60. I believe GOAT just came out on digital after 45 days. That's a Sony movie. So, you know, studios are starting to like commit to slightly, you know, it's incremental, but you know, it's also getting close to CinemaCon this month, like in April. So I think more and more movie studios are going to continue to like try to keep movies in theaters longer, because we're starting to realize like there's a value there, or I guess rediscover what movie studios knew for decades and then somehow forgot over the last 20 years. Damn, Sean says, I worked on an HBO series and we paid $50K for Queens. We are the champions. Dude, I'm telling you, it's a bigger part. I mean, you know this. I mean, of course you know this. It's licensing music isn't cheap. There's a reason why you don't see needle drops and everything, and you know, and everything. So it's like James Gunn
Unless
does it in the
James
movies.
Gunn production,
But Marvel has all the money in the world, and I mean, as the CEO of co-CEO of DC Studios, he can make those decisions, and he's, you know, only got to worry about David Zaslav, but like David Zaslav's not, you know, micromanaging his budgetary decisions on stuff like this. So I think it's important. I mean, that Amazon gave Project Hail Mary this, like, you know, platform. Like, they believed in this. They were like, this is going to be a big movie. We're going to spend the money. And I think it was worth it, because I think that scene, like you said, John, we talked about it in our review last week, or 2 weeks ago now, actually. That's one of those scenes which doesn't really advance the story or even build a lot of character. Like, there's not a lot of character development in there. It's just a scene that lets you breathe for a moment, because of how, like, the first part of the movie leading up to that point, like, feel like, you know, you're kind of in the same mindset as Ryland Grace trying to regain his memory, and you're jumping back and forth between the present day and what's happening, you know, in the flashbacks. That scene sort of helps you sort of like relax and sort of like find the humanity in the characters on screen for a bit before the story continues moving forward and we get introduced to Rocky and all that. But yeah, if it helps if the music in the Warner Brothers library for Warner Brothers Films, Universal Music Group, hooks up Universal. Exactly, absolutely. I mean, I think it always, that's why you're more likely to see a song that is, because, you know, Warner Brothers, I don't know if actually Warner Music Group, I think, wasn't that like independently spun off? I mean, still, they probably have a relationship with Warner Brothers Studios Pictures, but I know Universal Music Group is still part of the larger Universal, like NBC Universal. So, but yes, those relationships definitely help, because, you know, you're kind of paying yourself like this big conglomerate. So, but yeah. Anyway, John, let's keep the glaze on. Let's keep on glazing on, because we got lots more glaze to get into. So speaking of like the making of the movie, I came across this over the weekend, and I think who was asking? I think Enterprising was asking about the green screen question. So there you go. That's the tunnel, the Iridian tunnel that they used in the movie. I mean, also the suit, the Iridian suit that Ryan Gosling wears, the space suit. Like, if any of you were wondering whether that was CGI or not, you could have done it as CGI. It wasn't, though, John, because this was an actual suit. Granted, when Ryan Gosling is walking in it, they have him attached to some wires because it's kind of hard to balance himself in it. But apparently they built it. It's functional enough that he was able to walk in it. And so this is really, I thought this was really cool. The fact that they actually did some problem solving with like this paper mache kind of a design. Yeah, that's pretty like really interesting, to say the least. So like when you see him moving around and with that like flashlight hand, it's all real. Yeah, you watching a PDX screen, Sean? That's great. That's I haven't tried that format yet, but that's awesome, man. I didn't feel the runtime as much on the second time go around. I feel like, but I did feel a little bit on the first one. But But yeah, so yes, a lot of practical effects, John. Are you excited to see? Because it's also like you see some of the reflective surfaces. It's like it's just naturally built into it's. I appreciate that they put in the work. I mean, like you said, John, you could see the money, the budget on camera, like which is rare that you see that for movies of this scale. Like a Marvel movie, you often wondering like where did the $200 million go? Here you can tell like they're building physical sets, and in moments where a lot of other big budget movies will just choose to go the CGI
Same
way.
with the astrophage scene as well. This was for the most part practical, and yeah, it looks fucking phenomenal. Plus, the cinematography and everything, it just makes everything just pop in all the right ways.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, I think, this is the kind of thing what Anthony was talking about, physical media releases. This is the kind of stuff that as a hardcore movie buff, and I'm not the only one here, I think a lot of you guys are in the same boat, we will go and, buy a steelbook version of this movie because we're going to want all the details. We're going to want it in the highest fidelity, not buffering through our internet or anything like that. And so I think the theatrical release of this will definitely help the physical media release. Like this gives it the extra bump. But I really appreciate how they did this. By the way, as far as these effects go, that rig that you see in the image on the left for how they shot the astrophage scene, I'm pretty sure that still was mostly to affect the lighting on the suit. So it didn't, because here's the thing, that suit is like metallic, and that means it's got all reflections all around it. If you're so the way CGI generally works is like if you're gonna composite that into a CGI sequence, these reflections are gonna need to get added in post-production. You can either, there's a few different ways to do it, but ultimately in most instances what they end up doing is they'll just replace the actor with a CGI double, because it's just easier to build a CGI environment that interacts with a CGI body double. So shooting it the way that they did here, I think what it allowed them to do is a lot of those reflections, especially there's a few, insert shots, a few real close-ups on Ryan Gosling's face with the helmet, where you see the reflections of, the astrophage shimmering. To get that practically, they did it this way with the lighting rig. And then they probably rotoscoped that stuff and tracked and rotoscoped it out. And then the astrophage themselves, like what you're seeing, and probably even the ship, that's probably CGI. Or maybe some level of composite. Obviously, compositing being done to put all the pieces together. So again, not a green screen, but going about it this way is still the more tedious way to do it. But like for those close-up shots, it makes it look a lot more realistic. Even though CGI nowadays is capable enough to create all of that, you could just have Ryan Gosling's real face and everything else be CGI in a close-up shot and it look real. But the fact that they went through the trouble to do it this way, I think it's just, it kind of that like slight like percentage, because CGI is really good today, but it's not always quite there. So to get that 90, it's 99.5% there, but to get that last 0.5% doing as much of it practically, I think really does help. And Sean is telling us Project Hail Mary was shot on RE65 and the RE Mini camera. They added film grain in post and the output of the film to 70mm IMAX, so it looks old school analog, more like film than the Netflix digital look. Yes, absolutely. They do this a lot. I think this isn't super uncommon in a lot of big blockbusters today, where like I think for example, the Dune movies, Denis Villeneuve has mostly shot on digital cameras. They have used some IMAX cameras, granted, but they mostly shot on digital cameras. But to match the grain look, what they will do is they'll like the RE65, RE Mini, both are digital cameras. They'll shoot it on the digital cameras. Then they will actually then run, what they will do is they'll project the digital final output through a film onto a film. They'll use like a reverse projector to project a digital image onto film, to like record it onto film, and then they'll rescan the film scan version of the movie into digital, and now they've got all the grain added in through that scanning in process. And then it's sort of like a weird way to fake it, but it's certainly more authentic than if you were to just like add in a filter on top, and movies do that, especially at this scale. Like it's not, Project Hail Mary isn't the only one, but it's a little bit of a cheat, like a way to cheat the look, but it's better than the digital Netflix look. It definitely feels, especially if you watch it in IMAX 70mm, you will feel the grain in the film. So some of it is, simply because it's on actual film that you're watching it. If you happen to be near one of those few theaters, but it is an expensive process. Definitely. I mean, just me explaining is expensive, but you know what I mean? Like, it sounds expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep the glaze going, John. What do we got next? Talk about. So this
and
is
Eva
like
Mendes even said, "Oh,
yes,
I love this."
Oh yeah, she signed off on it. I mean, this is from like one of those independent movie theater chains that took all the other Ryan Gosling posters. Which was your favorite? I particularly love the Notebook one. I think the Notebook one is pretty epic because it's like that one. I was like, okay, Barbie, I get it. Drive, Blade Runner, I get it. Blade Runner one, that looks like Chappie. I kid you not, that looks like
but
this
actually good.
I'm just saying though, it looks like Chappie, right? Like if you just had the head on top, it looks like like they just gonna transpose that pose. It's great. The Barbie one was always fun because I love Barbie. Go back to the Notebook one for a second. I thought that was hilarious. Because that's the only one that implies there's like a romantic relationship between the two of them. And there's like a head missing for Rocky. But the eye line is actually good. Like the eye line is perfect. Like he's looking down, he's looking straight at him. It's almost like Rocky. It's like if Rocky were to make a poster of him and his partner Adrian, this is what that would look like. Except Rocky would probably, I don't know what the genders, normative like things are on Arid, but I don't know if Rocky would be Rocky and then Adrian would be Ryan Gosling or the other way around. But the posters look amazing. Chappie was an odd movie. Neil Blomkamp, back in those days. Let's keep this going, John. We got more glazing to do. Apparently there was a TikTok collaboration that we'll get to in a second. Actually, you know what? Let's do that one first. I want to talk about Taylor in a moment. Let me bring this up.
I've got tea.
So basically, they did like this TikTok interview with this creator, and it's all Gen Z language promoting the movie. And I just had a really good time with this.
I've got tea.
Spill the tea.
You've been chosen to pilot the Hail Mary mission.
You capping?
No cap.
No cap?
No cap.
No cap.
This hit's different.
This is your save the planet era, bro.
I just don't know if I can slay this mission.
If you don't, Earth is cooked.
I'm just low-key panicking inside.
I'm high-key panicking for you.
If I do this and I don't slay, it's a historic L.
But if you do, massive W.
Massive W.
You think I got the aura to pull this off?
Bro, you're him.
The math ain't mathin'.
Math.
You caught me lacking. Why me?
Rhymes.
Well, the selectors are pretty based, and they said you passed the vibe check.
It's giving.
You got this, kid. Remember, don't be mid.
Bet. I'm gonna eat and leave no crumbs.
Oh,
Full main character energy.
Full main character energy.
There you go.
Let him cook.
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 Let him
I
cook.
could just imagine this was like just killing Ryan Gosling on the inside. He's like, "What the fuck am I doing with my life?"
Well, they
And
didn't.
Can I end it now, please?
It wasn't a perfect like shoot either because they actually put the bloopers up too.
I've got tea.
Spill the tea.
Jeremy Lynch,
I'm
by
gonna
the
eat and
way.
leave no crumbs. Full main character energy.
So good. You got this, King. Come on.
I'm low-key panicking inside.
You got this. Remember, don't be mid.
So stupid.
Spill the
This
tea.
is so fucking dumb.
It is.
But if I do this and I don't slay, it's a historic L.
The thing is, I am
You
part
got
of
this,
like
King.
a couple,
Remember.
like comic book servers, and like 90% of the server fucking talks like this, and it's just like
I
this
know.
is like PTSD.
This is too
flashbacks for
real.
me.
It's too real, man. It's too real.
Are we gonna win a BAFTA for this? Is this gonna happen? I just got the feeling right now.
That main character energy, yeah. I did appreciate Milana Vaintrub in the movie, by the way. She doesn't get much work outside of the commercials.
Had more of a role because I know she's talented.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, it was pretty minimized. I mean, they did leave a bunch of scenes on the cutting room floor. I don't know if it involved her
for
or
Earth
not,
stuff, so that's fair.
Yeah,
but I know, she's getting residuals from Marvel Rivals Squirrel Girl voiceover, so she's fine.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
because she was supposed to be in the New Warriors. It was supposed to be like on Hulu, and then they were like, "Nah, fam, we're not doing this."
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. And then she just ended up playing the character in multiple like things anyway. So
yeah, she did. Well, getting back to the movie as a whole, Taylor here, Taylor Umfenauer, I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's a film projectionist at the LA, version of the 70mm IMAX screen. They were getting like a full house almost at 8:30 a.m. screenings over the weekend, which is wild. Like 8:30 a.m. In LA.
I gotta go to my nearest 70mm. Like I would want
the Lincoln
to go.
I want to go to the Lincoln Square one, right? Like, so that's the nearest one to us on the East Coast. But look, I actually like shared this on my stories. Then that's a cool story. He reached out to me and he was like, he reacted to my story. And then I was like, well, dude, like, I really appreciate the work that you do, because I once upon a time did something similar working at a now defunct IMAX 70mm, theater that in Connecticut that used to exist, hence the now defunct. And it's just the magic of film, the tangibility of working with 7mm film, running it through all the spools, into the projector, all the buttons, and there's like, there's like gauges and like, all kinds of shit. Like I felt like I was in a time machine. And so I kind of shared my appreciation for it with him, and he was like, yeah, dude, that's really cool. And he told me that he actually started out and learned to do his projectionist work at a IMAX theater in Providence in Rhode Island all the way back when. So yeah, I mean, by the way, so far I read somewhere, I think it was like one of the Substack newsletters I subscribe to about movies, that around 20% of this movie's current gross comes from IMAX, more or less, which is similar to what we saw with, I think, Oppenheimer as well when it came out. So I forget the exact number, but like it was 20% based on this opening weekend going to second weekend. So that's pretty significant. And so it goes to show you people are showing up for this, and this is going to be busy. And I bet you like they will still probably have, one or two IMAX screenings here and there at most theaters, not just a 70mm IMAX, but just your laser IMAX, and not dedicating it exclusively to Super Mario Galaxy. But yeah, it looks better. 317 million in 10 days. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all, Sean. But let's keep on going. I just wanted to share that story about Taylor. I think he and along with anybody else who works at one of these rare nowadays IMAX screens, they deserve all the credit, because like the work that they do, there's very few people in the world that know how to do it. So there's a certain value in that in a world like full of AI. And there's a tangibility to projecting film, in a movie theater that we just almost no other theater does that. Like most theaters are all digital, completely digital. So to go into a 70mm IMAX theater, it's a completely unique experience. But hey, you know what, John? Ryan Gosling, he did this movie for the family. I thought this was a great interview here, talking about, again, the reasons why he was really excited.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Yeah. Ryan said it, not me. He did it for the fam. And hit that like button for Dom Toretto, if not Ryland Grace. But this is, again, one of those like, influencer interviews, and she was kind of sharing her love for the movie, talking about the book with him. She is also an aspiring filmmaker herself, Meg here, and Ryan Gosling was just really, again, I think the way he does it, it's like, is that his normal talking voice, the voice that he like talks in now in all these interviews? Because to me, it's like that's like if that's his default mode, then great. But
also, do you think he's gotten like work done? Because I was like watching an interview with him, and they're like,
"Oh, he
what
definitely
happened
has.
to your face?" And I'm like, "Didn't?"
Oh, he definitely. I noticed. You look back at the Notebook poster, And you look at him now, yes, there's some, it's hard for me to pinpoint. Maybe if Monique was there, she'd tell us, because she's usually good at that stuff. But yes,
because like I was like looking,
yes.
I'm like, didn't he just fucking age? Like he looks the same to me. Like I don't know.
No, it's I think, well, Sean is pointing it out. He's had fillers in his cheeks. I could see it. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of see that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Not like he fucking
apparently
needs
he plays
so,
it cool in all the press junkets. Yeah, these press junkets, by the way, in most cases, what they do is they'll like set them up at these studios, and like the actors.
Keanu didn't have work,
and then they
done.
just cycle everybody else through these. It's
and
like
Paul Rudd's just a vampire, so you know it's you know.
He's having the time of his life, that's for sure. These are always fun interviews. I just wanted to point this out because again, he's emphasized this on multiple occasions. Like he wanted to do this for his kids, and he wanted to give them something to look up to. Like growing up, he had E.T. He was hoping that this would be a movie that, you know, kids today can look up to in that same way. But yeah, Edgar Wright, actually, John, shared his love for the movie as well. What did he have to say?
He was lucky enough to see the movie on a towering IMAX screen a few weeks ago. A long overdue big screen live action return for Phil and Chris. It's a dazzling but very human epic. The level of detail in every aspect of the production was awe-inspiring, not least the puppetry. I also had warm and fuzzy comparisons to 70s monastic classics like Silent Running and Dark Star, which is high praise indeed. Drew Goddard delivers an excellent screenplay. Greg Fraser's work is gorgeous. Gosling's endlessly magnetic, and the magnificent Sandra Hüller gets to show her Tony Erdmann chops again. It made my head spin thinking about how complicated it would be to make, but saving the universe is no easy task. Go see it. Huge.
Yeah, I was watching an Andy Weir interview recently talking about like how much of the science they kept in. Like, for example, in the book, like obviously there's two different atmospheres for like, you know, Iridians and humans. And you could have easily been like, oh no, the atmosphere, like they can both breathe oxygen. But they were like, no, the fact that it's difficult and the fact that, you know, we'd have to go about like all the stuff that the book has about how, like, you know, they can't breathe in each other's atmospheres to the point where literally the temperature of the Iridian atmosphere would almost boil a human alive, not to mention all the ammonia. They were like, the challenge is what makes it unique. So, and they stuck with that. So I think I appreciate Phil Lord and Chris Miller for that approach, and obviously Edgar Wright does too. Blade Runner 2029, yes, I do. Well, 2049, like you said, Sean, was an epic press junket because Harrison Ford, I think people are realizing this now. Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling have two of the best underrated sense of humors. Like up to, I mean, obviously now with Ryan Gosling, everybody knows, but like Harrison Ford, still flies under the radar, and you can see when they're flying off the cuff and those kind of press junket, like it's great stuff. The interactions are amazing. But yeah, let's keep going because John, according to TV Rev, I came across this report. They're like a TV, you know, metrics research company and a firm that they basically will report on things like, okay, so like what is the commercial, you know, potential, or like what are the ratings and what does that mean for TV shows and trends and whatnot. So they were talking about how Project Hail Mary's second act, aka once it's out of movie theaters, for Amazon it may win even bigger. You know, it may be even bigger than what it does at the movies. And I was mentioning this earlier, so this is like a nice payoff to what I was pitching earlier. Amazon has always, you know, not always, but in the last couple of years, they've really emphasized them releasing movies in theaters, despite the fact that they obviously want to be a big theatrically major studio in Hollywood that puts out 15 movies a year in theaters, and they're building out an infrastructure to do it not just domestically but also internationally, which is something MGM hasn't done in like 4 decades. They still look at this as a means to provide extra value to the movies once they make it to Amazon Prime, that theatrical rub. And this report in TV Rev completely confirms that. They're expecting, because of how well Project Hail Mary is doing in theaters, how well it's being rated by fans, and all the critics love it. We just talked about Edgar Wright loves it. A lot of other filmmakers, nobody is saying anything like bad things about the movie. That will also further help this movie do incredibly well. And, you know, they, in this report, back it up with some great numbers as well. I'm not going to go into the numbers because it's boring, but it's good to hear that it's not just speculation. We're not just like, oh, it's did well in theaters, is going to do well, you know, on streaming.
Yeah.
We know, according to this research in this article, that according to their projections at TV Rev, it's going to do really well on streaming. And I think you look back at Top Gun Maverick, it was number one on Paramount Plus for weeks. Before it got to Paramount Plus, it was the number one selling and rented movie on iTunes and Amazon, Prime Video charts for rentals. And, but then it was on physical media and it was like number one on those charts. So these windowing opportunities is where Hollywood used to make a lot of its money. And then when streaming came about, all of a sudden studios were like, theater, streaming, and you lose all those other opportunities. And I think here Amazon, is setting themselves up well for a long windowed run. I mean, as far as the sequel goes, though, Sean was saying, John, I mean, look, Andy Weir has been very non-committal, but he has ideas. I don't think he's giving away any of them anytime soon. But let's be honest, I think if there's money to be made, and Andy, also for Andy Weir, that is, because he's a producer on this film, so he's got a very vested interest in this. He didn't just make the money off the rights that he sold to the book. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to capture lightning in the bottle twice, but I do believe that if they were to make a sequel, it will probably take a few years, because right now there's another script that Andy Weir wrote that might be next getting adapted, which doesn't have anything to do with this story. Yeah. And then he's working on another book that has nothing to do with the book for Project Hail Mary. But after that, in a few years' time, because this thing took 6 years to get to, or 8 years actually, because he was working on this book starting in like 2018 when he was researching it. Then in around 2020 is when, the manuscript got to Ryan Gosling, they got the rights, MGM got involved. Then, from then to now, it took 6 years for the movie to come out. So I think we'd be okay waiting for like 3 or 4 years if they were to go in that direction. But if they don't do it, then I'm okay with it. And as far as Best Picture category consideration goes, we have seen now with like movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once and Sinners, you don't need to come out in November to get nominated for Best Picture or win. So I do think this movie will have a chance. I mean, there's still a lot more film to come out, but we'll see. If and when we get there. Well, hopefully when we get there with the Oscars next year. To answer your question, yes, it takes around 4 years for him to travel from Earth to Tau Ceti, and that's not because it actually. So it's relativity because he's traveling. I think it's like, if you do the math, like 0.94% the speed of light. So basically 94% the speed of light. And at that speed, the faster you go, the slower time ticks for you if you're on the ship. The time on Earth is still ticking the way it ticks, but for you on the ship, the time goes by slower. So that's how relativity works, Einstein. So basically, if you do the math, what it works out to is roughly for the 12 light years that they travel, with the 94% of the speed of light. And it's not like constant acceleration. There's like a acceleration phase and a deceleration phase and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, it works out to roughly 4 years pass for Ryland Grace on the ship, but it's 12 years for people on Earth. So by the time they get the message back on the probe from Ryland Grace, you would think that for Earth is going to have been 24 plus years have passed, which is why you see like they're in a bit of an ice age, which is what they predicted would happen. But it's not the end of the world. They got the solution, so hopefully they can reverse the damage. But yeah. Hey, Reefer McQueen. Yeah, was it overrated? I don't know. I think all of us here, for the most part, love Project Hail Mary, but it's okay if you think it's overrated. I hope that's not Yush. But we'll have to see what they decide to do, if they decide to do a sequel. You know what? We'll leave it there for now. Project Hail Mary, the glaze. I'm sure it's not the last time we'll be glazing Project Hail Mary. We got at least one more day before Super Mario Galaxy comes out. But until then, John, let's change focus. We got to talk about MCU Weekly.
And going from, still connecting Project Hail Mary, which was written by Drew Goddard. Well, he did the Daredevil series, but before he did the Daredevil series, apparently he pitched 2 different Daredevil movies to Marvel Studios and why they didn't happen. And in the early 2010s, 20th Century Fox, who still had the rights, the distribution rights, I believe, under... I don't think they produced... I think they eventually gained the...
Wasn't it New Line that had the Daredevil rights? Am I wrong?
Yeah,
about
I
that?
think it was. Yeah, it was.
It was New Line.
Because I remember reading it was like, because I did a bunch of videos on this, and they were like, "Oh, why didn't you include Daredevil?" I'm like, "Well, I don't really consider Daredevil a Fox film because I think it was only distributed by them, so I think it was New Line, but I could be wrong on that." But Joe Carnahan's I will say Joe Carnahan's ideas for fucking Daredevil were fucking awesome. He did a sizzle reel. You could just look up like Daredevil NC-17 reel, and you'll be able to find like the vibe that he wanted to do, and it's like so fucking cool. So it's
Oh,
great.
it was 20th Century. It wasn't New Line. I think I'm thinking of a different movie. I think it was
Okay,
Blade
because
was New Line.
I because the thing is I
Yeah.
don't really consider it a Fox movie, like because it's like, oh, the Fox X-Men. So because I know a lot of my viewers got mad at that. So
this is what happened. So I just looked it up. So after they failed to reboot as a movie in 2012, because they made a Daredevil film in 2003, Elektra spinoff in 2005, but then I think there probably was a ticking clock, like there is in the Spider-Man franchise. That's why they'll always keep making those movies for Sony. So Fox had a deadline to put a new movie into production by 2012, and they didn't make that deadline. So at that point in 2012, the rights reverted back to Marvel Studios. Now, of course, that was the year that the Avengers came out. And I think that's where this Drew Goddard story is actually relevant, John.
Yeah. And he said I was not going to be a showrunner. We had talked. But I don't know what that was clear to everyone. The Martian then gets greenlit, right? And at the time I was going to direct that. Stephen S. DeKnight comes aboard, and he and I go way back. There's nobody better to do Daredevil than Steve. We mapped out the whole season already, so now it's just about Steve making it his own, right? That's why I'm still credited on all of those, because we just kept working. Looking back, I think we should have just been clearer with the public. I was around when they were doing one of the Avengers, just hanging out, talking about other things, and I was like, why aren't you making a Daredevil the movie? I don't understand. I think there was a concern that it was too adult. The Marvel model at the time was definitely not a play to adults. Well, here's my vision. My vision is that the first one would be Kingpin, find a way to make that special. My second idea was that the villain of the second movie would be the Punisher. I remember that everyone in the room was like, oh, that's exciting. I love anytime two quote-unquote heroes do battle with each other, right? We got to do it. We just did it on Netflix, which I think was the right fit for that. So, it's he tried to pitch a couple different movies, and then obviously season 1 became Kingpin. The first bit of season 2 of Daredevil became was the Punisher stuff, and then that led into the Hand stuff. But I think there was the idea of I feel like it should have been more substantial, but that was one of the many shortcomings of season 2. Honestly, same. I think he's a very good director. Cabin in the Woods was great, and I have heard that Times at the El Royale was very, very good, very underrated, but it was like one of those movies where it's like, oh, this is an original movie. It's not going to do very well. And I think it was probably hidden among bigger hits at the time. So,
well, but ultimately, I think the moral of the story here is that Drew Goddard was saying when he pitched the idea to Marvel, remember 2011 into 2012, Marvel had just gotten the rights reverted from Fox for Daredevil. And, the film rights. I mean, they were making a TV show for Netflix, but it wasn't because they didn't have the rights. Apparently Marvel just wasn't into the idea of like, how do we do this and not make it rated R? Because remember, Kevin Feige, up until like talking about Deadpool for the first time after buying Fox, was really kind of adamant that they would never do a rated R Marvel movie, and that Deadpool was going to be the exception to the rule. So far, it's still the only exception to the rule on the movie front. They've obviously, kind of embrace the more rated R TVMA ideas for the shows on Disney Plus, but I guess Marvel Studios was just not into the idea of doing a rated R Daredevil, or they just didn't think they could make one that wasn't rated R. And I hope that if that's what's holding them back, that maybe they can eventually give us something, because I would love to see Charlie Cox kind of eventually transition to a movie version of Daredevil.
That would be great.
But yeah, let's keep going. Ooh.
But with this, Elizabeth Olsen poses with the Doctor Doom's helmet, reveals what she knows about Avengers Doomsday, and she claims I know nothing. She knows about Vision Quest, but she knows very little about.
Although the way she kind of talks about it, she's like, what, is Secret Wars happening after? I'm not kidding. Why did I think there were 2 Secret Wars? Are there not? I thought there was an umbrella. They've been talking about it for a while, like things have changed. So, I mean, she was at C2, E2. And of course, I think
she looks
this
thrilled
photo
to be
is
there.
Yeah, this photo is with some fans who are obviously, well, one of them is dressed like the Scarlet Witch, the other one like Doctor Doom. So I'm sure they asked her the question, and yeah, I mean, look, if you scroll back up to what she was saying, it's. I'm trying to like imagine how she talks, Elizabeth Olsen, and so for all we know, she legitimately has no idea. I mean, she's not involved, but we live in a world where Andrew Garfield got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, lying, about being in the Spider-Man movie until the images leaked. So, yeah, like Caleb was saying, there's an Avengers movie coming out. What? Good one. I mean, there's these rumors about the Scarlet Witch coming back and being like part of Doom's plan. I think I'm not willing to take Elizabeth Olsen, for her word until the movie comes out. So I'll just leave it there.
Then we have this from Andrew Garfield where it's like Tilly's 90, not being Spider-Man, just being asked about Spider-Man. He's like, "Are you going to be in the new movie?" And I'm going to be pissing in a colostomy bag. So it's just like, yeah, that's pretty much the case. Yeah, makes sense. True that. But yeah, would I love to see him again? Absolutely. But it's like, guys, just leave the poor man alone. Just leave him alone. I mean, it's okay.
He's probably, let's be honest, like he's probably not done playing Spider-Man if you're talking cameos. And there was a rumor talking about how Secret Wars is going to focus more on like the variants, and Andrew Garfield counts as a variant Spider-Man because Tom Holland is the MCU canon Spider-Man. So I think Secret Wars is where we're more likely to see him, not Doomsday. If we do see him in either of those movies, but I would love to see Andrew Garfield back. But I think it's also like he's in his 40s, and I don't even I as much as I want Amazing Spider-Man 3, I think we'll have to just settle for what we got in No Way Home for the most part, and whatever cameo we get in one of the 2 Avengers movies. Right. I just think like he's getting to a point now where literally everybody asks him about it, and I get it. Like at least he's not being like Cillian Murphy was like, why don't you make that the headline? I'm not gonna be Voldemort. Like he was getting like real pissed the last time he got asked about Voldemort. Andrew Garfield is still nice about things. He's avoiding the rumors. So yeah. But
although speaking of Voldemort, we have some some TV talk terror to talk about. And with that is, well, not Voldemort, but the evil side of things with Draco. Tom Felton's like, "Yo, bro, if you need anything, I got you." And gave him his phone number. Cuz like I feel like all these actors definitely, even if they're more like kind of straighten away from like this, whether they
isn't he in the play right now, the Broadway?
Yeah, I think it was like a special thing for like a couple weeks. I don't think it was in it for very long.
But like he's still very much involved with Harry Potter.
Yeah, but it's just like at the same time, it's just like even if you're not, there is this instinct to protect these kids, not just because of like make sure like the kids are okay, kids are all right, but it's just like assholes online. Of course, you got to deal with that. Then you have like the added controversy of the author who made these books getting adapted again. So they're going to get the hate that people are going towards her, and they're going to get the hate for some reason. So there's that. So it's just like, hey, if you need help, like I feel like there's going to be a lot for these kids so that they don't, feel isolated. They don't feel terrible, or, that their mental health is, going downhill. So it's nice that they are, in fact, doing this. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's maybe he's also gonna give Tom. Not Tom. What's the name of the new kid? He's gonna give the kid some lessons on like how to say Harry Potter with like the ultimate sound of disgust.
Potter.
Like we need that.
Yeah.
Like you can't be Draco Malfoy if you can't say Potter. Like that's how you gotta say it. So you're gonna need some lessons.
Gotta have the.
Yeah. Well, Warner Brothers has already knees deep into that. So Sean, and as like it or not, or and we all have our opinions on it. They've basically bet the farm on this Harry Potter show, almost literally. So we'll see if the results match the ambition eventually. But like starting this Christmas, we'll see it.
Although, you know what else is starting is apparently the writing for Harry Potter Season 2, they're going to try... I have a feeling they're going to try in series of unfortunate events this where it's just like right after another so that like these kids aren't 40 by the end of like, Season 3.
Right.
So, that makes sense. That works for me. It's like, yeah, make sure because I mean,
So Casey Bloys did also say in the same interview that while their goal is to not have these huge gaps, and they're already working on Season 2, which I'm not surprised at all that they're, like you said, because these kids will grow fast. He did at the same time say that it's still going to be, most likely the case that we don't get a new season almost literally every year like The Pit, because these shows are much more VFX heavy, and it takes time, it just takes time, because nowadays these VFX are being done on the same level as a lot of movies, and it's like, we know for a movie it takes a year and a half from the time, or like sometimes 2 years, so like for them to go from inception to production to post-production with all the VFX work, and then ultimately release. So I think there's still a chance that there will be maybe a longer gaps between a few of these seasons, but I think it's really important that early on, for the first 3-4 seasons, when these kids will be growing really fast, that they start to like get ahead of the curve and really try to give us yearly releases. It's a huge task. I'd imagine that if we were to, like, let's say we were getting, we know we're getting the first season starting Christmas of this year in 2026, which means the majority of the season airs in 2027. If that is the case, I don't think we get Season 2 till 2028. But I don't think anybody will be complaining about it, Hey, Steven, how are you doing? I mean, I'm looking forward to the show, Anthony. I think the trailer looked pretty good, but, there's some reservations, but still, I'll give it a chance. And, the final, like, there's actually talk, Sean, that they might try to split some of the books into 2 seasons, like they did the movies. Whether it's just the last one or not,
that's why they said
we'll
8 to
see.
10 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, I mean dude, they built a school on the Warner Brothers, studio lot in Leavesden, outside of London in Watford. So they're
also, no
like
way
I said,
is that kid British. He has way too nice of a set of teeth.
yeah, they're if you're in for $1, you're in for, or if you're in for a dime, you're in for $1. Like that's what Warner Brothers is on this. Like they've literally bet the farm on this. So, yeah. I mean, Harry Potter in December, Avengers, Dune. It's gonna be a big December.
Yeah.
Not to mention Jumanji and everything else that comes out. I mean,
But speaking of Andrew Garfield,
yeah, well, there you go.
Spider-Man to Harry Potter. He's like, he defends watching the Harry Potter movies, even if it's controversial, and we shouldn't be putting money in the pocket of the bitch. So and that's the thing I kind of agree with. I know
that
people
shall
that
remain
are
nameless.
I know people I'm close to that refuse to watch anything. They pirate it, or like they just went full 180. It's just like not even like any room to breathe. It's like, oh, maybe the next generation, oh, maybe people will just enjoy this, or maybe just people don't care. It's just a full on nope, fuck her writing. Her writing was always shit. I always hated it. It was actually the worst thing ever, blah blah. And it's just like, now you're just changing history. It's like, don't act like you were not impacted by those books and movies. Don't act like you didn't have fond memories.
I won't deny it.
Just because it turns out that the person who wrote them was actually a vile parasite of a person. So it's just like, don't erase those memories just because one person had to have like the most fucked up shit views imaginable. It's like, it's just so much shades of gray. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, it's never going to be enough for certain people, or it's going to be too much for others. It's just like, it's a weird place to be in. And I'm sure he's going to get hate for this. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, well, you're a straight white man who doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's going to get dragged through the mud on a lot of different social medias. So it's just a whole mess.
No,
it's a whole mess of stuff.
But I think the point Andrew Garfield was making in this interview, he was talking about it from the perspective of like separating the art from the artist, like Sean was saying. But the point he was making specifically, like he worked recently, so that he was talking about how it wasn't until recently that he saw the movies, right? I think we mentioned that on a different show recently.
We did.
And he was mentioning how like he did this because he was recently worked on a movie where I think one of his costume, designers or somebody like a stylist or somebody from the costume.
I think it was a makeup
art, was it? Like one of his stylists, like he worked on the Harry Potter movies back in the day, and so he was like, oh, like I'll go check those out, because I'm sure the conversation that came up, and he was like I worked on the Harry Potter movies. So you did? No, I've never seen those. Oh, okay, like I think I'll check them out, and then I'm sure he did. Like you know what? I had never seen the Hunger Games movies until a few years ago, and then I like binged all 3 of them.
4 of them.
I haven't got to the
5.
sequel. Well,
now
right, all 4.
6.
Well, I haven't seen the prequels, but like I saw the original.
I would say Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is arguably the best movie out of all of them, and that's saying a lot.
Well, I that's next on my list. But the point I was again, so
anyway,
I'll be getting to those.
Continue.
But like Andrew Garfield was saying, like, look, I appreciate the movies for that literal thousands of artists that worked on the film, and by kind of completely boycotting it, you're dismissing the work of all of those folks, because the books are the books, right? Like you can choose not to buy the books because the books more directly benefit the author. Although not entirely, but like, you still have the publishing house and all those things, but still like more directly benefit J.K. Rowling. But, and to each their own in terms of how you feel about separating the art from the artist. But like the movies, the Harry Potter movies, like there's so many more people that worked on it beyond Harry Potter. He talked about, Andrew Garfield was mentioning the actors, the directors, obviously everybody like who was involved from in front of and behind the camera. And a lot of work was put into it over the course of a decade and a half. And now, of course, doing it all over again on the TV show, it feels to me at least kind of wrong, like Andrew Garfield was mentioning, that you dismissed all of that simply for the sake of the one person, like, obviously who wrote the books. And yeah, it's again a controversial subject where everybody kind of lands on their part of the spectrum, and that's completely fine. And your opinion is just as valid as my own, and vice versa. Yeah. But I personally end on the idea of like, I'm like, there'll always be a part of my childhood memories. They're an incredibly important part of like what defines my fandom. And to me, most of the time, I don't even think about J.K. Rowling in that process. I understand.
Nobody does. You know why I know? Because the fucking trailer broke records. We literally talked about it. Nobody. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's mean to say, like, for all the trans people that are going through a lot right now.
And I'm not denying. Again, I'm not.
But at the same time, it's just you don't think about that. It's not out of malice. It's not out of hatred. It's just like people don't think about the activism and politics of the author of the book's adaptation. Like nobody, like the general audience doesn't think about that, because that's what we always forget. We're always talking about the fans, the super fans that are, looking at this, watching this, reading this, like doing what we do on a fucking daily basis, getting all this news, showing it to you guys. But it's just like, because I talk with my sisters about it. They are heavy, LGBTQ allies. They think about this constantly, and they have completely divorced themselves from anything Harry Potter, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. They can do whatever the fuck they want. It's still, as of right now, a free country. Who knows if that's going to change soon? But, do whatever. It's your life. You can fucking hate anything you want, love anything you want. But at the same time, it's just like, as I was saying before, it's just like, you can't, like, be like, oh yeah, I always hated it. It's like, you can't fucking say that, because literally history will tell you different. You can't, like, you were there, like, at the midnight screening of, Deathly Hallows Part 2. I don't know, because I was fucking there, motherfucker. I was there seeing you happy and watching this movie as like a family, and or going to the nearest Borders. Remember Borders, everybody? And getting the last book when that was a fucking phenomenon, and loving every second.
Even like
I was
W.H.
there.
Smith
You can't fucking lie and say you were not excited, you were not happy, and you didn't have these wonderful memories of this series that you loved. You can't say that, because I was there for it. And Well, at least I'm just talking about personal experience.
I mean,
but it's just weird to me how it's just like you're just gonna lie and say, oh yeah, never, it was not an impact, it was not this, and it's just like, okay, you can hate the artist, you can never watch a Harry Potter movie again, never read another Harry Potter book or adjacent movie, fine. Don't act like you were never a fan.
Hey, Kevin.
Because the J.K. Rowling's a bitch. Like, it's just,
I mean, no, and exactly like Sean is saying, like, and enterprising too. Like, you his Sean's wife loves it. I mean, they both are looking forward to the show.
Exactly.
And
there are people that just think black
you don't have
and
to
white.
support
It's
the
like,
views of the
if
author.
you watch this series, like, I remember, like, it's a very shade of gray thing. I was talking with a friend of mine who is trans. It's like, anybody who watches this series deserves to die. And I'm like,
wow,
hold on a sec. Whoa. Okay. I know you're angry and I know you're pissed and you have every right to be. And, with what she's peddling and all that bullshit, but it's just like, people don't think or see about what you're thinking and seeing. Doesn't make them bad people. It just means like, oh, I'm watching a show. That's literally it. They're just watching a show of this thing they like.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with hatred. It has nothing to do with like, oh, I hate these type of people specifically. But it's just like, oh, but because you're watching it, you're supporting it. And it's just a whole mess of like grayness. And it's not as cut and dry as people make it out to be. And it sucks because we wish for it to be cut and dry. It's like, oh, if I don't do this thing, it won't get supported and it won't do this and it won't do that. And then boom, it's done. But it's like, oh, if it is get supported, it means this thing, that thing. And then bam, it becomes a whole snowball effect. It's just.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's.
Of Jim Gaffigan in the movie Linoleum, it's just not that simple. It's just
more nuanced, and I think that's exactly what Andrew Garfield was trying to articulate is the idea that he's watching the movies because he appreciates the thousands of artists that worked on the film, and he doesn't want to discount that work and obviously a lot of passion and craft that went into that just because the one person, obviously a significant person who wrote the books and the views that she holds and so we'll kind of leave it there for now. I'm sure we'll talk about it again in the future because the show is coming out in December, but you guys let us know what you think about Harry Potter and what Andrew Garfield had to say about it. But in the meantime, John, let's talk about Star Trek.
Your other favorite franchise.
Yeah, Project Hail Mary author Andy Weir recently got himself into some hot water saying that Paramount rejected his Star Trek pitch. And then he kind of like jokingly said their shows are shit. So, and then, he did suggest that Star Trek had kind of lost his way. I mean, I'm not surprised. I think we talked about this particular headline before. That Andy Weir seems to be somebody who kind of feels more like, Star Trek of the 80s and 90s are superior to the Trek era that we had been watching more so in recent times on Paramount Plus. Used to be called, CBS All Access. But, I mean, jokingly, yes, relative. I mean, he kind of said it was. I actually watched the interview multiple times now, and who he was talking to, and it kind of comes up. It's not like brought up because somebody asked about Star Trek specifically. It kind of came up as part of because Project Hail Mary exists in that like domain of sci-fi where you're basing it off real science, but then you take some
like
creative
hard
liberties.
Sci-fi.
It's more
not
hard
like
sci-fi.
Totally, but like it's
closer to it than like Star Wars. Exactly.
Yeah, fantastical, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then to that, like, Andy Weir loves The Wrath of Khan. I think he brought that up. He loves Empire Strikes Back as like two really great sequels. I think was also part of that. But clearly he wasn't a fan. I think, and it was not an in-jest interview, but it wasn't a very serious interview. And I think maybe like he went maybe a bit too far with his criticisms. On the Critical Drinker, he said like, yeah, I forgot who it was, says Andy Weir. I wish I could remember who it was who said it. Some analyst, he said something. If you go up, the quote there, he was saying some analyst, he said something like all modern science fiction TV shows and movies have been heavily influenced by the original Star Trek, except for the current batch of Star Trek shows, Weir said. So, I mean, obviously, not the biggest fan of the current era of Star Trek, but then those comments went viral. I mean, and like whether you like him or not, the current iteration of Star Trek does have a fandom. And because, you know, like, again, I'm a fan of the modern era of Star Trek. I actually like enjoyed most of it. I mean, I love most of that Star Trek. I love all Star Trek, quite frankly. There's not really any particular Star Trek show or movie that I never really that I hated or never really liked. There's just degrees for me, you know, like some are like season 2 of Picard is kind of hard to sit through. Season 3 is really amazing. Season 1, I think, was a refreshing reminder of, you know, what Sir Patrick Stewart can do in that role. And look, Alex Kurtzman's record is very, very spotty and sometimes very shoddy. And the producers that he has brought along for the ride also really up and down. But I think, like, as a fandom, we have this problem where we kind of take our reviews to the extreme for effect, and then sometimes, you know, we try to impose, sometimes even not like realizing we're trying to impose our views on others, we should be doing is expressing our views, and then, you know, appreciating those of others. So Andy Weir, I think, you know, in promoting Project Hail Mary, maybe went a bit too far in talking about how he has a particular distaste for the modern era of Star Trek, like the last 10 years or so. And John, as a result of that, I mean, he did say he likes Strange New Worlds. So it's not like he was like broad strokes saying everything modern Star Trek sucks. He did talk about, like, he was in a Zoom meeting with the showrunners, specifically Alex Kurtzman, I think, was involved, saying, I spent a lot of time talking to executive producer Alex Kurtzman. I don't like a lot of the new Trek. He as a person is a really nice guy, but at the same time, those shows are shit. He's a nice guy, but they didn't accept my pitch, so, you know, fuck him. Which I think, like, that I watched this, like, that part of it, what he says there, was more in jest, in the sense that
nobody cares about that, right? Nobody cares about that.
I mean, obviously, I like, just read it. Like, it just comes across as like, oh yeah, he's like, so fuck him. Like, you know, it's like, I got other things to do. I'm writing books. These movies are making hundreds of $1 millions. I don't need Star Trek to, like, to up my career. So he's kind of talking about it almost from a fan perspective. I don't think it's like his feelings are hurt because Alex Kurtzman didn't take on to his ideas. But if you go to the next article, John, because these comments went viral, and like I said, you know, as most fandoms, you'll have people who are extremely passionate, and then, you know, fans who maybe, you know, kind of are you know, on the other end of the spectrum. But we talked about it just like last week. William Shatner sort of put.
Oh, he froze, everybody. Oh, you gonna come back to us, Dan?
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you kind of ducked out a little bit.
I don't know what's going on with my internet today. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is, like, Star Trek has always been on the fringes of acceptance when it comes out. Like, you know, the original series, like the Kiss with Uhura, like, was revolutionary, but at the time, you know, was considered very, very controversial. And then even, like, Voyager was not considered, like, you know, true Star Trek when it was first coming out. And then Enterprise with Scott Bakula was like, this is not my Trek. Which was a trending hashtag, I think, in recent times. Starfleet Academy kind of had a similar. Starfleet Academy, I think, still low-hanging fruit compared to some of those other things. You know, objectively speaking, I think Starfleet Academy is not as good as some of those other shows. But that being said, it's, you know, all of these shows have, you know, featured backlash over the years. Now, Andy Weir kind of got himself in hot water saying something similar. We just talked about it. But as a result of that becoming like this big social media viral thing, he wrote an open letter recently apologizing, saying, I was trying to be funny, but in retrospect, it comes off as disrespectful and mean. And you know what? Fair. Like, we were just talking about Harry Potter. There are thousands of people who work on these shows. Actors, you know, directors, cameramen, you know, production assistants, stylists, you know, like everybody in front of, behind the camera, the agents, the marketing teams, you know, the guys who build the sets, the best boys, and the grips, and you know, the assistants to the act. Like, they're just, so it's a big franchise. There were as many as 3 or 4 shows running for Star Trek, you know, not more than 2 years ago. And just because like where we are today with like this version of Trek sort of wrapping up as of right now, because Strange New Worlds wraps up in a couple of seasons. They've already got the green light to do those. I think they've already shot most of them. And then Starfleet Academy just got canceled right as it was finishing filming its second season. We're gonna be going through a transitional phase. It's a precarious time, but I mean, who knows? Maybe Andy Weir could get back in the picture, and he might be somebody who gets involved with Trek in its new iteration down the road. But I do think what he said was a little insensitive to some people who love this version of Star Trek. So I'm glad that he apologized. But John, then we got this update from Alex Kurtzman himself talking about on a recent Trekkie podcast. I think TrekMovie.com is who he was talking to, and addressing, because he's up for a contract renewal with Paramount, and it does seem like whatever direction that's going in, they're changing track with where the future of Star Trek is going to go. We know they're working on a new movie for Star Trek, not with this Chris Pine, Simon Pegg, and that cast, but it does look like the TV shows that we have been watching for the last 10 or so years, that era seems to be winding down. So John, like, I'm going to read out what he said here quickly. Alex Kurtzman, he said, "What I can tell you honestly is that it's not just what does Skydance want with Star Trek TV." He said Skydance also just bought Warner Brothers, and so you have an unbelievable amount, like it's almost inconceivable amount of organizational things to decide. Right, they are in the middle of, if not just drinking from one fire hose, there's probably 10,000 hoses, and so everything it's just happening slower as a result of this massive time of transition, and that is not exclusive to Star Trek. That's across the board, and at the same time, they're moving as quickly as they can and should, because they want to be thoughtful and methodical. He went on to say, confirming that yes, I've had conversations with them about the future of Star Trek. Yes, we have gotten nothing but support. Yes, there have been specific shows that have been discussed, and we'll see. And then he finished up talking about saying, I'm truly at the beginning of this conversation with them now, and so I hesitate to say anything to you. If you could scroll down for me, John, here.
Sorry.
And he said, like, and so I hesitate to say anything to you because I don't have anything to report yet. But I can report that the conversations are happening, and that, there will be new shows as well as the shows we already have. Now, since this podcast, was recorded, we have gotten the decision that Starfleet Academy will not move forward. We already knew for about a year now that Strange New Worlds was going to end, after its next 2 seasons. So between those two, I mean, Discovery already finished this run, so there's gonna be, probably a gap at least. Because I'll bring up the example of Amazon MGM. When Amazon bought MGM, they did a full thorough review of all the IP that MGM had, what the state of affairs were with each of those IPs, whether they were tied up with something. They need to get some legal stuff cleared up, because if they want to be able to like utilize them in a new TV show or a movie, you need to first make sure you've got your legal basis covered, and then you also know which IP currently holds value, what do you want to adapt first, what needs to be reimagined, what works as is. And then they also did a lot of reorganization on a huge scale. Like, Pam Abdi, Mike DeLuca ended up at Warner Brothers. They left MGM. Then they had a different leadership. Like Jennifer Salk was the head of Amazon, before Amazon MGM got integrated. She's now no longer the head of that, studio. Right. So after all of that, we have gotten to a point now, we're getting a Masters of the Universe movie. You're working on Highlander. They're working on the Voltron movie. They're also working on a Stargate TV show, which is going to be in the same continuity as all the previous shows. So again, if it ain't broken, you don't fix it. But then with Highlander, you do got to reboot it. So all of those decisions took time. It's now been like 3 or 4 years since Amazon MGM became one company. So I look at what he's talking about here. It makes sense that Star Trek, while it is very important to Paramount Plus as one of its premier IPs, like TMNT, which they're also adapting into new movies and multiple projects, I do think there's probably going to be a bit of a gap as the new ownership assesses what's the best path forward, regardless of whether Alex Kurtzman is involved or not. So My understanding of this is it makes all the sense in the world. I can easily imagine there being maybe a year or two gap between the end of Strange New Worlds in a couple of years and then when we get a new version of Trek, whether that's a continuation of what we have seen in the last 10 years or whether they go in a new direction. And even if that is a new movie, the only good thing about all of that is we still have that second season of Starfleet Academy that's yet to come out, which I don't think they're going to write off. They're going to put it on Paramount Plus because, like, you know, they've got money to be made here. And then, you know, Strange New Worlds hopefully runs us all the way to maybe 2028. And then that gives us maybe less of a gap between this era of Trek and whatever comes next. So I'm just looking forward to that. And hopefully that means that we won't have to wait for, like, between Enterprise and Discovery, like 10 years for a new version of Star Trek. I mean, obviously we have the movies in the middle, but, like, you know, I'm talking about TV specifically. And even if they go with the movie direction, I hope we don't have to wait for too long. So you guys let us know what you think about that. I mean, whether it's Alex Kurtzman's comments or Andy Weir's comments. I would love for Andy Weir to be involved. I think he could do a great job. I don't know if he's a showrunner per se, but he could be a great writer in the writer's room, you know, for Star Trek. And he certainly has an appreciation for it. So, but John, let's move on because we got to talk about Tomb Raider. Something happened on set.
Sophie Turner done goofed.
Yeah.
Apparently she got injured on set, so they're just pausing for the time being, which, yeah, that makes sense.
So if you read into this, apparently what happened, because there was initial reporting around this and caused a bit of confusion. She was recently, you know, coming to set, apparently having re-aggravated a back injury. So the Sun, the British tabloid The Sun, reported on this. They were the first ones to talk about
this. Which is dodgy at best.
But yeah, but I mean, in this instance, like, I think the sort, like, there's a couple of writers in The Sun that are more trustworthy than the rest. But basically, they were talking about how there was a pre-existing back injury for Sophie Turner, and so they just decided that, you know, she was just aggravating it, and, you know, we're just gonna need, like, at this point, she just needs to heal that injury, and so it looks like the production will be halted for at least a month and maybe up to 6 months before they're able to resume filming. They were hoping to release this show in 2027. I don't know how much it's going to get affected. I feel like if it gets stopped for 6 months, then you probably don't put this out in 2027.
They put Martin Bob Simple twice. Interesting.
Yeah. But if it is for just 1 month, then hopefully we will get, you know, still get it next year. But
I will say they're eating good. They got 2 new games coming out and the show, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're right, Sean. I mean, Harrison Ford got injured in The Force Awakens, Dial of Destiny, but also at the same time, we talked about, like, even Daniel Craig, much younger than Harrison Ford, got injured in, like, 2 out of his 4 Bond movies where that shut production. I mean, Tom Cruise, like, literally blew out his knees, you know, trying to do one of his stunts, and they had to, like, you know, stop filming. Or, like, you can go on filming with other actors while you wait for the main, like, to wait to shoot the Tom Cruise stuff. But yeah, I mean, you know what? Hopefully she'll be back sooner than later, because I'm personally excited to see what Sophie Turner's iteration of Tomb Raider is going to be. I just was hoping we would get Tomb Raider back on our screens, you know, TV or the movies, sooner than this, considering I thought they would do a sequel to the, what am I forgetting, Alicia Vikander version of Tomb Raider.
But that was a bomb, so they probably were like, let's not do that.
I mean, in fact, then the rights kind of reverted, because, like, the studio that had, I forget which studio released it, but that studio no longer had the rights. That's how it ended up on Amazon, I think. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. But, you know, best of luck to Sophie, and hopefully she's recovering, and then eventually we'll get the show.
But Dan, now it's time for the quickest of the hits. Let's get into the quick hits. So first things first, somebody briefly talked about this at the top of the show. We're gonna get a new trailer for Masters of the Universe tomorrow. Yay, more AI looking slop. And maybe we'll get a honka tease to what Jared Leto's Skeletor sounds like. So
yeah, they did, like, a little, like, tease with, like, the prop sword and everything. It was a cool little, like, social media thing that they did to announce the trailer. Not quite the same thing that they did for Supergirl, but yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Great. Don't really care. Anyway, Animal Friends, Ryan Reynolds and Jason Momoa's R-rated live-action animation hybrid comedy. Try saying that 10 times fast. Heads to winter 2027, which I'd watch this, but I'm getting sick of Ryan Reynolds, so I don't know if I'd want to.
Yeah, I don't have feelings either way for this. I'll just wait.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Sounds fun. Jason Momoa. I'll watch it.
White Lotus season 4 adds 2 great beauties to their lineup: Heather Graham and Rosie Perez, in addition to Frida Gustafsson, Tobias Santelman, Ben Schnetzer, and Laura Smet. What last names? Goddamn. Okay.
All the S's.
But
literally.
You know.
It's a packed, talented cast. Sorry,
I've never heard
Graham
of any. I know Heather
Rosie
Graham and
Perez.
Rosie Perez, but
yeah,
I don't know any of the other fucking people. But cool for them.
Yep.
Stellan Skarsgård joins Dakota Fanning this time around in Apple TV thriller series. Obviously, he was with her sister in Sentimental Value, which got nominated this past year.
Fanning, yep.
And now they are going to be him and her sister are going to be in an Apple TV thriller series together.
First he did one Fanning, now he's doing the other that sounds off.
Whoa, hang on there.
Whoa.
Although to be fair, he's had a vasectomy, so they don't got to worry about that, but you know.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
But, yeah. But the Housemaid Secret Wars, that's our next Barbenheimer, apparently. Because next year, apparently, we're getting another...
No, what it's going to be is the hunt for Housemaid Secret Wars. Because the Hunt for Gollum comes out the same day, too.
Yes,
we got another double...
The Hunt for the Housemaid Secret Wars, yes. Oof, they're going to be going head-to-head, but like Housemaid Secret and Secret Wars makes more sense than Doom and Doomsday, because it's just 2 very different, movies. It's more, although Housemaid Secret is not going to be as big as Barbie, not even close. But it's counter-programming. It's more along the lines of counter-programming than
it's more of a Barbenheimer comparison. Yeah, well, yes. I mean, look, Sydney Sweeney, I'll still go see that. The Housemaid Secret, then I'll go watch Secret Wars, then I'll go watch The Hunt for Gollum, maybe. That's the one I'm not sure about. But yeah, 2 years in a row, Warner Brothers going head to head with Disney. I wonder how that's gonna work out. Yeah, some of these release dates gotta shift, gotta move. But anyway, cool.
But next up, Donald Glover says he invited himself to play Yoshi in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I literally hit up Chris and I was like, I know y'all got to use Yoshi, but they told me he's just going to say probably Yoshi. We're going to keep it very traditional. He's like, I can be traditional. So you're just going to hear Donald Glover be like, Yoshi, the entire time.
I mean, look, Dom Toretto did it for like, I am Groot. I am Groot. Like for 3 movies. I'm sure Donald can handle it. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
way to go, Donald Glover. Love to see it.
The early reviews are charming. So yeah.
But yeah.
The Barbenheimer.
Now we get Sir President up in this bitch.
Hey.
Wait, I forgot to transition hang on a sec. Gotta transition to the Oh So Curious account because I don't want people seeing my shit. So
I am Groot.
And
then he eventually says, "I love you guys."
This was from a long time ago. This was like from fucking 3 years ago. But I just happened to, see it on my feed, and they were just talking about like good trailers, and how he was talking about like the best trailer was like the Alien TV spot, which, like, I mean, the Alien theatrical trailer is also the greatest trailer of all time. Then Josh Horowitz chimed in with Alien 3 and how they initially, the TV spot was like, oh, it's going to come to Earth, but then obviously things change and that production was very awkward and a lot of problems. But Nolan managed to sneak in at the very end, be like, oh yeah, Alien 3 is a great film. So all you motherfuckers that are saying Alien 3 fucking sucks, well, guess what? Christopher fucking Nolan said it was a great fucking movie, so y'all can lick my taint, suck my balls, and gobble on my shaft, because the man, the myth, the legend said it was a great fucking movie. So suck it, alright? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sir President Christopher Nolan. He said it.
He said it. It doesn't matter. End of discussion. It shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter. Boom. He ended it. Said it was a great movie. That's all we need. Anyway, let's move on. Let's watch Ryan Gosling sleep.
Yeah. Rocky watch, Grace sleep. It's funny because like he keeps like he keeps bothering. I love the low-key comedic timing of Ryan Gosling. This is just, they know what they've got here on their hands, and the marketing team is not missed to beat.
I'm definitely gonna pre-order that plushie, even though it's fucking way too expensive. I don't care. I'm buying that shit.
Me too. Yeah, murder is good. Crowd goes wild. Okay, great.
Oh yeah, Alien Resurrection was fucking horrendous, but it definitely felt like a Jean-Pierre Jeunet, I think that was the director. It definitely felt like one of his movies. It was just not very good. Stick with Emily, because that's a much better movie. But after being leaked online, apparently with the Spider-Man trailer, the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer had to go through visual changes. Barely nothing could be reused. These shots were worked mostly from scratch for this new trailer. A lot of things have changed since then. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I actually came across this over the weekend, and this was like everywhere. Now the thing is, Dan T on VFX he kind of like either took his account private or deleted it, because I tried to hunt his account down. It's not available at all. But he is a real person, and I mean he does work for one of the VFX houses that worked on this movie trailer. So it is, I completely believe it. I think we talked about it, Caleb, to your point. Yes, these shots do look incomplete because they are incomplete, a lot of them. Hey, Dr. Doom, in the chat. But yeah, it makes sense, because remember, like we talked about the leak trailer and how there's not a lot of overlap in the shots. Some of them were thematically similar. Like remember in the leak trailer, there was like some shots of him like hanging upside down with like turning into the man spider and all those things in the organic webbing. Most of those shots are not in this trailer. Not to mention some of these other iconic comic book panels being like brought to life. Some of these shots weren't in that leak trailer either. So it's obvious that, I mean, some of this stuff will look better because these VFX shots are still a work in progress. Now there's still a chance maybe a couple of these things might have been just made for the trailer. Hopefully not many of them. Yeah, but like Sean is saying, there's a lot of shots in a lot of Marvel trailers. They're very known for this, that don't make it into the movie. I mean, famously, that Hulk shot from Infinity War was never in the movie. And that's not even the only one. I mean, and then, you could tell in some of the shots, they've left out some characters that will be in the shot when the movie comes out, like what they did with No Way Home. So I'm not surprised that the VFX aren't finished, and then, they had to rework most of it because of the stuff that got leaked. It also makes sense that the guy's account is no longer public. Maybe he shouldn't have been saying this out loud, because I'm sure Marvel would have appreciated not letting, or Sony would have appreciated not letting this out in public. So hopefully he still has his job. Dan does, but yeah. But it does explain why some of the shots look ugly. Yeah.
But anyway, PlayStation raises price of PS5 to $650 in the US.
Wow.
PS5 Pro, PlayStation Portal also see hikes. So yeah.
Isn't this like a $200 jump? Am I wrong about
that? I think like 150 or something like that.
That's still ridiculous, bro.
I think it was 500, but now with the RAM apocalypse, the CPU apocalypse, the GPU apocalypse, yeah, things.
I should have bought one
before they get better.
Yeah.
The dawn is coming, but the dawn is not going to get here anytime soon. So we'll just have to wait and see. So even though this fucking console has been pretty much on the shitter since day one because of scalpers and limited stock and all this other shit, now they have price hikes. It's just like, God, you could build a PC for that amount of money. Like,
and it does better gaming.
Like outside of RAM, like you could probably build a good budget one for that. And
I got lots of RAM. Like I bought a shit ton of RAM a while ago. I'm good.
Fucking scalper, goddamn. Okay.
Not a scalping level of. I was actually trying to do an upgrade on my PC. So
okay, sure, Jan. But U.S. household spending on streaming video services remains flat at $69 per month. 68% now pay for ad-supported tiers. Yeah. Because nobody wants to fucking pay like $300 like a month.
Dude, it makes all the sense in the world. Here's the thing. You know what? Like Netflix right now, I pay half that amount, like $35 roughly for Netflix alone. I counted it the other day. Because obviously I pay for like the highest version, and then I also pay for an extra household member. But like I realize I'm in the minority that I'm paying for that, and then I'm paying for like the Disney, Hulu, ESPN Unlimited bundle, which costs like another $35 a month, which is the discounted rate, by the way. Yeah, I mean, cable is back. You're Fake 915. That's exactly what this is. Because look at, I mean, these prices are ridiculous. I pay like almost $90 a month for YouTube TV alone. When I canceled Comcast, it cost me less than that a month. And I mean, and they were bundling my internet together with it. So yeah, I don't know. This is ridiculous. Like, it's getting to a point where I'm not surprised that people are churning between services because it's not worth it. Like, it's just really not.
It really isn't. It really isn't.
Yeah.
But you know, and with that, global streaming subscription revenue tripled in 5 years, poised atop $200 billion by 2030. So there's that as well.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, look, ultimately the headline, aka, reads that, you know, streaming services continue to squeeze their current consumers for more money because they're not growing subscribers as much as they used to. And so they're just hiking the prices, spending more money. And while, yes, they're still, you know, expected to keep growing, I think it's going to taper off sooner than later. It's already kind of getting there. And extracting greater value from existing audiences is only going to take you so far. Because I think there's an upper limit on this. Like, literally the whole $69 a month, you know, ceiling on most people's budgets is literally the cap to this kind of spending, you know? Like, there's this is not a bubble, but I think these streaming services are kind of hitting the ceiling for a lot of people can afford. And so no wonder, like, you know, people share subscriptions. Like, oh, you got a Netflix subscription? I got Paramount Plus. We'll share rather than we both have one of each. And so it's just too expensive. Yeah.
Yep. But next up, we got apparently Paul Walter Hauser has been cast in the Scooby-Doo live action series, so that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. I wonder what he will play.
I mean, I know that there was a rumor that he was going to be Scooby-Doo's original owner, so like maybe it's that.
Yeah, well, I mean, what was Paul Walter Hauser in is literally in everything these days, so cool. Yeah.
Yep. And then apparently you have
meanwhile Kevin Hart
Dwayne
losing
Johnson
his
making fun
shit
of Kevin Hart again
because he doesn't have enough foot leg room in the back of the seat.
Yeah, and he's like, I love my son, but I want to slap his fucking stupid little mouth sometimes.
Remember, this is the movie that comes out Christmas Day this year, the week after Doomsday and Dune, because somehow they think this movie... They should have kept the release date. I don't get it, but like, whatever.
Also, the fact that the Wolf, one of Nat or Alex Wolf, I don't know fucking which one, but the fact that he's in the car with them showcases that it seems like the characters from the game are they're gonna actually go back to what they promised at the end of the last movie, and like the characters are going to like transition into the real world, but like they're not, like, all the people are not going to be their characters. So I'm very curious how that, you know.
No, I appreciate yes.
how that works.
Yeah. Take a drink every time The Rock is in a jungle movie. Yeah. He's done a lot of those. He does a lot of those. I'm looking forward to this movie, though. Also, The Rock clearly looking leaner than he has in the previous movies, right? Like, you could see that.
I wonder if he has nipples here, because that's interesting.
Cool. We'll see. By the way, some of this was like great acting on the part of Kevin Hart. Clearly, like, amping up his temper tantrum.
Now, show me the money, because Jerry Maguire comes back to theaters for its 30th anniversary in the coming weeks. So, cool.
Yes, it does.
I remember
go to the movie theaters April 12th, 14th, and the 15th.
I remember I watched that for the first time. I'm like, oh, that's it. I wasn't really.
Show me the money. Yeah, you can go back. I haven't seen this movie in theaters ever, so I'm interested in seeing if I can go find it near me. So, I mean, look, Dwayne Johnson has always been a cool. Look, he is the life of the party when he's in the room. His presence is always felt, but he also like works like 24/7, almost literally. But I mean, yeah, Journey 2 is also a pretty decent movie, underrated. I mean, not the best thing ever that he did, but like Dwayne Johnson's a cool dude. Anyway, we got one more quick hit.
And it's a good transitionary to
Yeah.
DCU Daily because Supergirl is looking good in IMAX, don't you think?
If you
And
can you
the
click
comments are like,
on this?
nope, nope, DC sucks, and so
Well, but click
no
on
matter what.
click on the photo because I'm like the IMAX projection does make the color pop more, right? That alone looks better than the version we saw online somehow, which is I'm like a camera shot taken off an iPhone of a trailer playing on an IMAX screen in a movie theater. Yes, Rock he's a germaphobe. I have heard about that, but I mean, I'm just saying. Well, most things look better in IMAX, but John, speaking of the Supergirl trailer, I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about that in the coming part of the show because that's it for the news, and that means we're about to move on to DCU Daily. So let's get blessed from the beginning, and then we'll talk about Supergirl.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
All right, welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily. We're going to be getting into all the Supergirl talk today. They released a teaser to the trailer that comes out tomorrow, so we will be talking all about it. And then we got some Superman news. We got some Man of Tomorrow updates. Greta Gerwig apparently had a lot to do with the Brainiac that we're getting this year, next year at the box office. So we'll talk about that. We have some updates from Tom King about Mr. Miracle. He was at a recent Comic Con event and he talked a little bit about that. It's also or depending on where you are on the East Coast, it's past midnight, but when you're doing this live, but Monday was the 87th birthday of Batman. So to talk about that and so much more, I've got with me John. Which of those many numerous topics are you most excited to talk about?
I don't know. I'm very tired.
You know, there's also a Zack Snyder thing that we're going to talk about today.
Oh boy.
Dr. Doom wants to see Margot Robbie back as Harley Quinn. That will wake John up. So it'll be nice to have. Anyway, let's do the quick hits. We got some DC quick hits. John, kick us off because apparently we got a
concept art. Reveals very
Superman.
different takes on Jor-El and Laura Van. The idea was that their image would be projected within the crystals making up the fortress walls. Seen here with Baby Kal-El as they prepare to give him away to Earth. So it's kind of more classic in a sense.
I feel like this looks not only more classy but also much more elegant. Like Victor Martinez is a concept artist, and apparently he was involved with the movie and he came up with some of these concept art, artwork. And
but it definitely feels more
that's not what they ended up
Superman
doing.
1978, and I feel like they wanted to get away from that, so they kind of did their own thing with it. Which, yeah, I think
it's not that I don't appreciate the Gaussian splats that they use, which is a new form of holographic VFX technology.
Honestly,
really
he just
cool
looks like Doctor
stuff,
Strange here
but
with an S symbol. Like that's
true.
honestly, that's
But
honestly
it's concept
what it looks
art.
like.
I bet you they didn't know like who they were going to cast in their role at the time. But yeah, John, do you prefer this over what we got, or because there's actually a few images if you slide through, there's a few different angles on this as well. Actually, no, it's in the same. It's in the same post. If you click,
hang on, let me click on the thing.
You could have done it in the thing.
No, I couldn't. No, but
oh, okay. I actually like some of these looks though, because it's kind of like you could do it much more grander. Like the VFX technology has improved so much, you can improve on what they did in the 1970s Superman. I personally would have preferred this because what we got in the movie felt more like a more advanced, much more advanced version of Thor, Love and Thunder. or like that GIF.
See,
I've actually preferred what
I'm not the only one that sees it. This gentleman right
No,
here.
no, you're not wrong. I actually prefer what they did with Jor-El's like projection in Man of Steel. It's just
Of
real
course
until
you
like it
fucking did, you
disappears.
fucking nerd. Like, goddamn.
But it was perfectly well done. Like I was like, it's fine. You don't need to make it look like a hologram. Like a perfect hologram will look photoreal. That's the whole idea. So I know like the concept art looks better, and also like things evolve as you go through it. By the way, Gaussian Splat, there's a Corridor Crew video or Corridor Digital video I watched about it. Insanely amazing technology that if you haven't caught up on, definitely check it out. Which is how they, brought us the Jor-El in the movie itself, the one that we ended up getting with Bradley Cooper. But let's keep going. We got more quick hits, DC quick hits, John. It is an epic
Jorge
March.
Jimenez.
at DC.
What a March. I don't think I'll ever forget it. Batman 07 and Superman/Spider-Man, which I am going to read soon. I've heard great things, so I'm going to be reading that, hopefully. But yeah, looking good. Quentin Tarantino's favorite image of Batman. I think you know why. And then we got like the classic, art as well. And we got kind of some Joker stuff. Looking good. We got some Robin stuff. And there he is with his work. So yeah, looking good.
Jorge Jimenez carrying the torch for DC. And a bit of Marvel. What a March it was indeed.
Jorge Jimenez for live action Spider-Man 2099. Anybody? No? Okay. But yeah, looking good.
I still love this Batman design, barefoot and all. Is that a foot shot? Yes indeed it is, Caleb.
Give me them tootsies.
Yep, yes indeed it is. Let's keep going. We gotta move on.
But then Supergirl Funko Pops are coming next week.
Just in time when she
while this
hits...
fucking company bleeds dry.
Well, they're gonna be hitting CCXP Mexico just in time. All the people can get their hands on Funko Pops.
Here's 20 Funko Pops for $3 whole. It's like, okay.
Yep. It's cheaper than like some of the other action figures though, so
yeah, but Funko Pops are fucking ugly and gross. Anyway. But apparently Greta Gerwig was the one who recommended Lars Eidinger to DC Studios, and that is how James Gunn cast him as DCU's Brainiac. So if he sucks, we can play with Greta Gerwig. So that's cool.
Well, I mean, she worked on Barbie on the on the Warner Brothers lot, so I'm sure she's crossed paths with James Gunn before. It's kind of cool to see that that's where it came from. I mean, I'm not saying that was like, oh my god, Greta Gerwig said you need to do the role, so we're gonna pick you. They still went through the casting process, but the whole saying about it's who you know and not what you know does still play a role a lot in most aspects of life. And here
they're like kind of on the way out, but they're not bankrupt just yet.
Yeah, Funko Pop still survives. Okay, Caleb. But yeah, I think this is kind of cool because I hope that Greta Gerwig, once she's done with the Narnia movies, does come back to Warner Brothers and does more stuff like Barbie. Because I mean, she's a director who I think deserves all the props in the world and more freedom to kind of like do something for herself, like not just IP stuff like Barbie or Narnia, like what Ryan Coogler has been able to do with Sinners. I think Greta Gerwig deserves to have that platform as well. So and Warner Brothers, hopefully with Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi, if they do stick around after the merger with Paramount, hopefully they'll give her that platform. But yeah, thank you to Greta for our new Brainiac in the DCU. Happy birthday, Batman, John. That's what we're getting to next. Happy 87th birthday. Holy cow, you're old, Batman. 87 years old. Doesn't that mean now he's 3 years away?
Batman.
There you go. Isn't he like 3 years away from being in the public domain? Isn't that the limit? 90 years?
I think that's what it is.
So in 2029, we'll be getting like our... Can you imagine?
No, that doesn't sound right. I think it's like 2034 or 2035. Okay. Something like that.
Batman public domain. I'm going to do a quick Google search and see if it tells... Not yet. But it's not until the 2030. 95 years. Okay, so you're right. So it would be...
Because I know Superman is, I think, 2034, and this one's 2035. Or no, 2034. Something like that. Like
33, 34, I think. I think 33, 30. Because this would be 30.
And then Wonder Woman is going to be 2035. The original, version from the 40s. So
I just... You know what they need to do? They need to just have like... Well, Robert Eggers just needs to go to Blumhouse and be like, I'm going to do a Batman movie based on the original, the bat looking
1930 fucking 9.
Yes.
Detective Comics number 27.
Yeah. Hit the like
Purple
button,
gloves
everybody.
and all.
Please do hit the
Hell
like.
yeah.
Yeah, happy
And he
birthday,
could cast
Batman.
Robert Pattinson if he wanted to.
He could.
And then Willem Dafoe as Commissioner Gordon.
Bring back the cast of The Lighthouse. Would love to see it.
Back when Batman had a gun. Yes, that was back when Batman had a gun.
That was
Good
that.
times.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Not really, just kidding. But speaking of Robert Pattinson on chasing the role of Batman in the Batman. It was years. Hold on. It was years to get it. I was doing meetings long before the part was even around, and I just wanted to put myself in the eyes of Matt
Dutch
Reeves.
angle, classic.
I don't even think Matt was even writing it yet. I just met the producer, said, "Oh, by the way, there is a little part that no one else wants to do." So there you go. Gee, I wonder why nobody wanted to do it, because it resulted in a mediocre movie.
No, come on. Like, that movie was great. It didn't grow on me until like the second. Or
It
third
was
viewing, but
good. It was fine. Like,
I
but
liked
it's
it.
not. It's not even close to the best.
Yeah.
Are
my
you
Batman will
Batman?
always-
No, I'm Vengeance. It's like, okay, bro.
No, but that was okay. No, it worked for me. I liked it. The dude literally beat the other guy into the pulp. I'm not like, oh yes, oh my god, violence. Like, it wasn't that. It was just like, it was different than what we have seen from. And I'm like, it was a good way to reinvent the line of "I'm Batman" to "I'm Vengeance." Like, I get it.
Although,
it works.
speaking of Batman Part 2, Mike Marino is reportedly set to return as the prosthetic makeup designer for the Batman Part 2. He previously won an Emmy for The Penguin and earned an Oscar nomination for The Batman. I also believe he did that Sebastian Stan movie where he got the surgery, and I think he did the makeup for that. And then he and so, like, ironic that Sebastian Stan would be working with him again, but I forgot the name of that movie.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he's spent a lot of time in the makeup chair with him then. Was it Different Man? No.
Something Man.
The one with Sebastian Stan.
A different, yeah, you're right. A Different Man.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, Mike Marino, welcome on board to the Batman Part 2.
But this was an interview with the
Cinema
Muschiettis
Blend,
about Batman, and they were like, "Oh, do you pay attention to?" Because I think that's a good question. Like, he's like, obviously you can't tell us anything about it, and they're like, "Okay, well, do you pay attention to fan casting?" And they're like, "Oh, obviously, yeah, we pay attention to it." But he's like, "Well, the beauty about it is we get to pick, our cast." And it just, honestly, it comes off as like kind of pretentious a little bit. Like, I get it.
It is. I mean, they're doing it a little bit in jest, but it's still, yeah.
It still comes off as, and then it's just like, and then the interviewer straight up lying at "Oh yeah, I love the Flash." It's like, calm down, bitch. Nobody actually liked the Flash. Like, you don't have to like suck of these bags. "Oh, we liked it too." Yeah, of course you did. You fucking liked your own movie. Like, of course. Like, I remember when I was gonna see fucking Anthony Michael Hall to have him do an autograph, and I mentioned my friend, his favorite Halloween movie is Halloween Kills. Yeah, again, questionable taste. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's my favorite too." It's like, yeah, of course you'd fucking say that. You were in the movie. Of course you're gonna say your favorite movie is your movie. It's like, yeah, no shit. What are you gonna say? "Oh yeah, my favorite is fucking, I don't know, like,
yeah,
Aquaman."
I mean,
like, come on now.
I will say that hopefully whoever they cast, like, the cowl needs to be better than Robert Pattinson's. I definitely think that was. And then, yeah, to answer your question, Dr. Doom, Clayface is set within the DCU, not the Robert Pattinson Batman Epic Crime Saga. So it is in continuity with the DCU, the Superman, Supergirl, and then the future Batman Brave and the Bold movie that the Muschiettis are working on, or would be working on. But you guys are talking about Transformers? Minecraft? Okay, you're talking about like the box office for the Batman. But look, I think they're being coy because I don't think they're gonna ultimately get the ultimate final say, or certainly not by themselves. I think James Gunn, Peter Safran, especially James Gunn, will have a lot to say about who ultimately plays Batman.
Look,
because
I get it.
It's like a director for hire job. Like, they're not gonna be around maybe
just
for a sequel.
With the Muschiettis, mainly Andy, obviously, you got to be very careful for a lot of different reasons. One, like, whether you like it or fucking not, you made a movie that not a lot of people like, that is in the DC universe, and you have that same writer with you for this movie. First off, whether you like it, okay, sure, you liked the movie, of course you did, but like, not a lot of people did. Some did, like, or like, okay, that was passable, but like, for the most part, most people did not like your movie. So there's that. Then you have Batman fans. And Batman fans are psychologically unwell. So, with that, you have to be very careful to say the right things, do the right things, so that you don't end up in a ditch like in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. So, like, you gotta
dark,
be real
John.
careful.
Woo.
So no, that's fine if you liked it. It's just like,
I mean, I
most people
liked The
didn't. I'm not saying
Flash,
it's
so
you have no right to fucking like the movie. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like, most people did not like the movie, so you got to just be careful of that. Like, you are under so much. You can make a diamond right now because you are under so much pressure. So, with that, it just goes like, you got to be careful. So when you say, like, even the smallest thing that you don't even pay attention to, everything's recorded nowadays, everything's on the internet, so you gotta, like, be so fucking careful. And not like even in a spoiler way, you can't fuck up right now, because you are everybody's looking at you. What are you saying, Andy? What are you saying? So you are like doomed to fail right now, and it's your job to prove everybody wrong. So you just got to be real fucking careful on what you say, so that doesn't go further downhill. That's all I'm saying. And when you say things like that, even if look at what Andy Weir, look at Damon Lindelof, fucking scrutiny for saying stupid jokes about, oh, green is stupid, or Star Trek shows are stupid. They fucking came out immediately, but sorry, it was a fucking joke. Whether they were actually saying it as a joke or they had to backpedal, whatever you think is the reason, you got to be careful. So, and this, much like Damon Lindelof, with, lanterns with no green, you got to be careful with this too. So that's just a little. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's also the way they talk about it. You could clearly tell they don't have a very well articulated answer. I think one of you guys in the chat were mentioning that the way they're talking about it right now feels very like they're not putting a lot of weight into their answer, because they're probably busy with. I mean, this interview wasn't primarily about Batman. They were promoting another project. Like, they're working on Welcome to Derry. They got another season coming. They're talking about doing a whole super cut of the two movies and stuff. But clearly, I don't think they even know where the script is, probably, like, because Christina Hodgson's working with James Gunn. James Gunn's been pretty adamant that he's working very closely with her, the writer on that project. And Andy Muschietti, there's still a chance that he may not ultimately end up doing it, but if he does, then he's more or less a director for hire. So that's why I don't think they genuinely, even if they knew, or even if they knew what was going on in the script, I mean, I don't think they're putting a lot of thought behind the Batman movie just yet, because they don't really know what it looks like just yet. And to the conversation going on in the chat, I do think, as far as Clayface goes, you've got like a great, script. If you listen to James Gunn, it's Mike Flanagan wrote it, and I don't think it's guaranteed to make 300 million or something in that neighborhood, but I think that's the ceiling for Clayface. It could go Joker's crazy, but like, Joker is Joker, Clayface is Clayface. I think there's not that pop culture like awareness of the character like there was for Joker. 300 million, I think, would be a ceiling. Supergirl, probably, if it makes anywhere over 300, maybe close to 400, would be great. I think 400 to 500 is probably the ideal number, but it's a very competitive summer, so we'll see. Also, The Brave and the Bold may not even be the title of the movie for Batman, Sean, because
we'll see. Again, I mean, things change all the time in production,
so,
especially pre-production, or even pre-production at this point. So technically, it's not
MTG is full on crushing on Andy Muschietti's sister right now. What's her name? I'm Barbara Muschietti. Yeah. They both I think they were Argentine. I might be wrong about that. But there we go. All right. Figure Drawing finally got Caleb to explain why he thinks the Batman is not a good movie. Well, that's a great conversation, you guys.
They're from Argentina, so Yeah.
Argentina. There you
Buenos
go.
Aires.
Good luck. Good luck to their team in the World Cup this year. I'm sure Messi is probably his last World Cup. I mean, not that the only thing that comes out of Argentina is football, but nonetheless.
Anyway,
clearly,
oh, hey, our favorite Caleb. Let's talk about this now. At WonderCon, Tom King said that the fans will go nuts when they announce the voice cast for the Mr. Miracle series. In terms of go nuts, whether that's a positive or a negative, he didn't verify. So, we'll see whether they go nuts. Will it be a go nuts for Lanterns kind of way or go nuts for Superman kind of way? We'll wait and see. It's probably going to be the former because it's Tom fucking King and the man doesn't know how to fucking write DC. So, we'll see.
I just hope that
for Big Barda, fucking, Pauly Shore as Mr. Miracle, fucking, Chris Rock as Darkseid,
I love what's the comedian? Is he Mexican? What am I thinking of? Fluffy. Fluffy's impression of Chris Rock is great. Like, how you doing? Who's at the door? Like, what? Let him through. It's just great. Like Chris Rock. I'm like, this is so good. Can you imagine that being Darkseid
as Highfather? Yeah, that's gonna be the cast.
Yeah.
And according to this, a different thing is that he's writing every episode. Oh boy, I can't wait.
So apparently he also said the pilot is already edited. So the pilot exists in its edited form. And he like you said, he's responsible for writing all the episodes. But I mean, we got Scott Free. We know that's going to be the focus of the show, Big Barda, and I hope the animation quality is top notch because this is going to be canon to the DCU. But then again, Creature Commandos, not saying that it had bad animation, it just wasn't anything that was like, oh my god, this is something different. This is a movie level animated show. Like, it wasn't like Spider-Verse levels of animation. Not saying we need to go that far, but anyway, I mean, Tom King, he's writing all the episodes. This should be interesting. So who
can't wait.
Who knows?
Said no one ever. Anyway,
yeah.
Zack Snyder. Honestly, I'm not. This is like the only time I will ever be happy to see fucking Zack Snyder. Like, fucking Tom King is making me pining for Zack Snyder at this fucking point. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I mean, this isn't even this isn't even a photo that Zack Snyder took. He just came across his DT collection figure of the Ben Affleck
cool.
Batman.
Looks great.
It does look cool. I like I still think Ben Affleck's
Zack
Batman
Snyder's
was
bread and butter.
Really well
it
done.
Looks cool. So.
We'll see. I really appreciate this particular design for Batman. I hope it influences to a certain level what we get in the DCU, because I like what we're doing with the Batman with Robert Pattinson. I just think the Ben Affleck was to a certain degree my preference. Even though I still love the Christian Bale version of the suit, I think Ben Affleck's Batman is the only Batman that feel like a legit you don't want to come up against this dude. He's gonna beat the shit out of you. Because I don't think the other Batman in live action have been nearly as intimidating as the Ben Affleck Batman was. But anyway, let's move on, John. We gotta talk about now, just hours away from the Supergirl trailer coming out, the official trailer, because the first trailer is usually a teaser trailer. We're gonna be getting later today, or if you're watching, Monday going to Tuesday, later on Tuesday, we're getting the official trailer for Supergirl. But right now, we're gonna be talking about the teaser to the trailer that James Gunn put out, saying Supergirl will call you back tomorrow, which is a reference to the little teaser to the trailer where Superman, speaking of cameos, Superman sends this little voice or video message to Kara saying, just wondering when you're going to be back. We miss you. And you see Supergirl is probably not, awake at this moment in time. Not a lot to work off of here, John, but they did release some stills as well. So here we go. We got a little sneak peek at where Supergirl might be. this is certainly one of the scenes that David Cornsweet shot for the movie. And there was actually a report. Actually, before we get to the report, I just wanted to take a look at some of the images that Entertainment Weekly released today in conjunction with this. You can see we got a better look at David Krumholtz as Zor-El. You get a more of the puppy Crypto. You get another Crypto here, slightly more grown up. I'm liking the vibe. It also feels like the color grading looks better. There you go. You got Lobo. How are you feeling about these images, John? Because I feel like this is an improvement. You know, the creme look, not entirely sure about just yet.
I kind of like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it was better that he looked like a normal guy. It's like, what are we gonna do? Like, so many fucking people just look like normal humans in the fucking universe. I like how he looks fucking weird. I like the alien. I understand it's like, oh, but then he's special, and the whole point in the comic is that he wasn't special. It's like, well, this isn't the fucking comic. This might actually be good, so who knows?
Yeah. I mean, there was some more information. Actually, we'll talk about this in a bit, but there were some test screening reports about Supergirl, and we'll get to that later. But there was also a rumor going around that they recently added some new Superman scenes into the movie, John. This is still a bit of a rumor, but apparently this came out before the teaser to the trailer came out. One of them being a FaceTime call, which I think is now confirmed, while the other appears at the end of the film. Now the question becomes, like, were those things already part of the movie? Because remember, Millie Alcock has talked about, there's a scene where she's talking to Superman in Kryptonian, like their Kryptonian language, and so there is the question of, so that was maybe originally part of it, the movie, and then the scene at the end of the movie, and then that FaceTime call scene might be the new additions. And we'll maybe there's more theorizing to be done here when we talk about the test screening reports. But I mean, John, once I came across this report, then the teaser to the trailer came out, and if you go to the next link, we got our look at what you would imagine would be the FaceTime call. FaceTime, you know, in air quotes, because we do get to see Superman kind of talking. I will say, though, Swag Fan has a good point. Actually,
well, I was talking about Clem, not Jason, so...
Yeah, but like it's like this message, you can see kind of like the one thing I was looking at with this image, you could definitely see David Cornsweet is maybe not entirely bulked up for Superman in this shot, you know?
Yeah, you can but the thing is, it's not for his own movie, so
it's fair.
He's still gonna be kind of slim, so
shoulder up, so like, well, you know, it's a medium shot, it's not really going too far down. We still don't need to worry about the bulge.
I know it looks, and plus maybe the image is a little distorted, you know, so it's fine. It's whatever. I don't think I'm not gonna fucking shake two shits about a 5-second Superman cameo where he doesn't look as muscular. It's like, all right.
But the Entertainment Weekly article that accompanied those images from before, DC Film News actually did a great job of kind of summarizing it. They kind of TLDR it for us. So I want to go through the 9 things that were highlighted in the article, and so let's go through this again. Great work from DC Film News. Apparently the film's tone is going to be John Wick meets True Grit.
And they spelled True Grit wrong. It's like, bro, wrong. Guys, come
on. But John, are you surprised by that? I mean, True Grit, the comparison has been made before. True Grit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the comic is literally about. It's just True Grit in space. Like, that's exactly what it is, so.
Yeah, not surprised there. Let's keep going. The Fifth Element was a major influence on the movie.
That's interesting.
I don't know. That is interesting. I don't think I've heard that before. And then, okay, so the movie will build upon Kara's status, what Kara's status was on Krypton. So, I don't know, John, do you have any insight into what that might mean for the movie? Like, what her status was on Krypton? Is that like socioeconomic status? Is that what that's referring to?
It's just like what happened. I think it's just like what happened, like and like maybe how the L's were perceived.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, let's keep going. There are about 9 distinct worlds, each with its own language in the movie. I think one of you guys pointed out the one we see in the trailer is Gorg. Thank you for that, MTG. That's cool. I mean, that definitely feels like a Guardians kind of a move, like planet hopping, because
Yeah,
we see
I
a
guess
lot of
so.
that in the first Guardians movie. Uh, not going to be beating those allegations, but there are 5 distinct original languages in the movie as well. Okay, all right. Some linguists involved in this one. 5 distinct
Cunning linguists, you might say.
cunning linguists. Wow. Thank you for that, John. But Kryptonian will be spoken extensively in the movie, which we have heard.
That
This is not
makes
the first
sense.
time. I mentioned that, like, Millie Alcock talked about it. And obviously we have seen it in Superman as well.
We've seen this, obviously, you know.
Superman will be in there, of course. The film will thoroughly investigate Argo cities and Krypton's destructions. So there you go. That is Argo City. That's confirmed. And I guess, yeah, we'll be getting a thorough look at what happened, John. That's something which we were speculating, but I guess now it's more of confirmation. So yeah, I'm liking what I'm hearing so far, Enterprising. I agree with you there. And then Supergirl. Okay, this to me was the most interesting thing of all. So Supergirl in the movie at one point has 3 days to save Crypto from Krem's poison. Holy shit. I totally get the John Wick comparison now. I get it now. I get it. I mean, I don't think anything is gonna happen to Crypto.
I thought he,
but
so someone told me he, like, oh yeah, he dies in the like the initial attack is like, oh yeah, they kill him, and that's why she goes off for revenge. And another friend of mine who has actually read the comic, she's like, no, that's not what happens at all. It's like, oh, okay, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how this will go. So.
Bro, it's just like Logan. Okay, thank you for being facetious, Caleb. 3 days.
He's just making fun of it takes place in space and it has a sense of humor. Obviously, it's like Guardians
of the Galaxy. Duh.
Yeah.
I have a part of a plan. Yes, okay. See, now we're all standing up. I'm like, okay. Anyway.
5 idiots standing in a circle.
Yep.
Why do you want to save the galaxy? What did it ever do for you? Because I'm one of the fucking idiots who lives in it. That should have been the first F-bomb of the MCU, but that's just me.
Yep. No, I agree. I bet you there probably was a version of that take that got cut.
I want to like it. I do, but it's just like, I'm still not quite there.
Yeah.
Because Tom King's ghost is just hovering.
It seems like with, well... let's get to the test screenings report, John, because now a quick disclaimer: most test screening reports are very shoddy, and a lot of times the believability. I mean, because it's subjective. Because again, everybody who goes into a movie for a test screening, they're signing NDAs, but they're not supposed to be talking about it. So most of the time we hear about reports are third-party accounts, meaning the person who at the actual test screening is not the one whose account you're hearing from somebody who talked to that person, and maybe even then another chain in the link, and that's what you hear from. So the game of telephone propagates very quickly, but then at the same time, someone, like you said, John, is inherently subjective. Like somebody that you might know would love the movie and you might hate the movie, but they're the ones who were at the test screening. Now, we know Supergirl has held multiple test screenings, but apparently now in this report from comicbookmovie.com, they're talking about there have been 8 different cuts of the movies with 3 different endings, a darker tone than the comics, and overall it's received mixed reactions. Can you walk us through what they were talking about here? Because they were basing this off a report from the World of Real, which could be a little hit or miss at times, but
World of Real is a noticeably kind of bullshit like place. So here's the thing, guys. World of Real is notoriously bad. Like, I'm just gonna say they were the ones that pushed the whole like, oh yeah, Brave New World had like 8 months of reshoots when that was a total farce. Because they're going off of like one thing Jeff Snyder said, and then like fucking
the Hollywood
blew it out
Reporter
of
corrected
proportion.
the record. Yeah.
So there was that. So this is coming from World of Real. They are not a good source. The only time that they are plausible is when they themselves have another source of like Entertainment Weekly or something like that, or like Deadline, Variety, that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't trust this very much. However, at the same time, Dan usually brings this up. Aquaman's test screenings were notoriously negative, and
That movie was
is now
apparently
the
a
highest
total
grossing
mess.
DC film of all time.
Billion-dollar movie. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was
does that
like, it
mean
was a total mess.
Does that mean it's a good movie?
They figured it out.
No, but like I'm saying,
Yeah.
Aquaman is still a great movie, and also the fact that it made $1 billion. So there's that too.
Yeah.
So take this with this like biggest salt lick you can possibly imagine. So the site reiterates that Alcock's Supergirl remains a highlight, but the reactions have been consistently mixed, not disastrous, but not glowing either. Several sources mention that the action sequences don't quite land and that the main villain, Krem, feels underwhelming. Tonally, the movie is said to be darker and more character-driven than traditional superhero fare, leaning heavily into Kara's emotional trauma and moral ambiguity rather than lighthearted heroics. She's described as jaded and at times reckless. Supergirl's latest cut supposedly had a space western vibe with a more episodic planet-hopping structure, much like the comic book. But whether DC Studios has now finally figured out how to make the movie work or is scrambling to salvage it remains to be seen. It's possible that test screenings reports are being blown out of proportion, but if Supergirl doesn't deliver, it could be blah blah blah. Yeah, so it's.
I mean, hopefully it is Much Ado About Nothing, but
yeah, I think it is because
Yeah.
World of Real is notoriously like dog shit in terms of their sources and like their insight. Like World of Real is like what was that clickbait site? It began with a W, I think. Like not We the People, but whatever the fuck that was. I forget what it is, but we got this covered. We got this covered. Notoriously awful website to the point nobody even I have not seen a We Got This Covered article in years because everyone knows how notoriously awful that site is for clickbait because it's bullshit. Nobody shares them anymore because everyone knows it's dog shit. So, World of Real is just exactly like that. So
I mean, it's whether you believe it or not. I think there's some common, like, after a while, like, try to separate what may be true from what's completely not true. I look for patterns, and I think there's been a few patterns across the board in a lot of these reports over the last few months. They've obviously been doing more test screenings. It does feel like that's been the case, and it's. Like if there's, there's only so many times like you can hear about this stuff and some of the sources have been relatively reliable. Like there have been like actual, people like directly reporting on it, but I'm not, again, still take it with a grain of salt. It's still entirely subjective because, somebody like when somebody says, "Oh, I didn't like it," I think you can't really color that statement without asking them, okay, so what did you think about something else that was similar to this movie? Like, what did you think about Superman? Are you the kind of person who would go see this movie very often? There's also test screenings. A part of the test screenings that a lot of us discount is most test screenings are being done for very specific outcomes. So they're not looking in most situations for what do you think about the movie as a whole. They're looking for your opinion on certain very specific things. They won't tell you that out front. But then sometimes they will showcase a version of the movie that's definitely not the final version. So your reaction is to a version of the movie that's not going to play out and ultimately in the movie theaters that we go to see publicly. And sometimes they're doing A/B testing with some elements where they'll purposefully show you a version that's just there for comparison so they can chart your reaction. So test screenings is a tool, and it's no way is a reflection. Like the version of the movie you're seeing is not the current version of the movie that if tomorrow the movie would release, that version would make it to theaters. It's literally, take that test screening idea very literally. It is for testing purposes. So on that level, I do think like for example, like you guys have mentioned, Sinners didn't test well. Aquaman had a lot of bad test reports, and then they put that puzzle together and made $1 billion. And while Caleb, you're saying, yeah, it was like, working off the hype of Infinity War and everything, but like, here's the thing, like the movie still made like $1 billion. It came out around Christmas time. Like there was some merit to Aquaman being what it was. And so you could see like they've been able to like put the pieces together, and it's not the first time. And it happens on more movies than we realize. It's just the ones like this, like the big fandoms we talk about more. And that being said, the patterns I've noticed though, the things that do concern me, is that they've got, when you talk about tonal issues, they are on their third composer. if we end up with a lot of needle drops in this movie, ultimately I'm gonna be like, okay, so clearly they couldn't figure out the tonal issue, because that to me is more indicative of tonal issues, and they can't really figure out the right combination of stories and sequences and scenes, because like otherwise why do you change 3 composers, especially so it wasn't even like, you know, one guy had to leave. Like they cycled through 3 composers in a matter of like 2 months time, if not less. To me, that's the most worrying thing about all of this. But I put my trust in the team at DC Studios. So far, they haven't disappointed us. But granted, the sample size is very small. We're just talking about Superman. And that was mostly a James Gunn production. And James Gunn is an auteur filmmaker who exercises a lot of control over the entire process. This feels like this is more of a studio tentpole where there's a director for hire job, which it is. So I hope that this trailer that we get in just hours from now will help belay a lot of our concerns. And then if that trailer is an absolute banger, which we'll be talking about on the show tomorrow, or like if you're watching this on a Tuesday and later today, then I think we'll be in the clear, you know. Yeah, like I really do hope that this new trailer kind of, you know, kind of does the whole boom, you're looking for this, you know, like War Machine, like that's what this like we need that from Lanterns, from their next trailer. We need that from Supergirl. We need to like remove some of that, you know, concern from the fans' eyes, like especially the fans that are on the
fucking
fence.
Title sequence transitions, which would have been so much better.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So I mean, all that said, we hope that the trailer is going to be fun. It's probably like, I mean, they usually release them at 9 a.m. We're like less than 8 hours away from that. So we'll keep an eye out for it. And yeah, John, are you excited? Like, what are your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, see if feelings will improve or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually like very excited. That was not on my bingo card that we were going to get the trailer this week until, well, today. So we'll see you guys in a matter of hours as the trailer drops. We'll do a reaction. We'll break it down in depth. So be sure to join us later tonight, tomorrow night, depending on when you're watching this. And we'll talk about Supergirl, and we'll talk about the rest from DC. There's a lot going on. And thank you to everybody watching. We hope your channel is doing well. We just crossed 100,000 subscribers. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. If you have not, please go ahead and do subscribe, and please hit the like button on your way out. And if you can, come back and leave us a comment later. Like if you have any questions, once you watch the trailer, let us know your thoughts on it. I think I'm going to put up a post on the channel asking about your thoughts. We'll collect your comments during the day, and then we'll bring them into the show later in the evening when we do the review. And then tomorrow's episode, we'll not only review the Supergirl trailer, we'll also talk about For All Mankind Season 5, Episode 1. We'll review that, and then we'll be talking about what we're looking forward to with Episode 2. Comes out later this week. And then we hope to have Liz on the show talking about Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 2 this week as well. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for joining as always. And yeah, it's Tier List Tuesday tomorrow too, so it's going to be a double show night, John. And we'll leave it there for now. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Until then, stay #blessed from the beginning.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you really I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka!
And remember, fuck Tom King, David Ellison, and...
Fuck that man.